Good evening, everybody. Welcome to First Responder Broadcasting presentation of Georgetown Eagle Baseball live here on the SHN Sports Network. We're live at Pflugerville High School, where your Georgetown Eagles are on the road to take on the Pflugerville Panthers in the second of two games on Tuesday night back at Georgetown. Georgetown beat the Panthers 7-4 to go to 3-0 in district and to send the Panthers to 0-3. And tonight is the battle back here at Pflugerville. It is a battle that you would expect a good performance out of this Pflugerville Panther team, a scrappy team that's going to give everything they have here at home against the Georgetown team that brings in one of the two aces, as I would call it. Riley Leininger will be on the mound for Georgetown. So it'll be interesting to see as Georgetown will bring in the gas from Riley Leininger as he, in his first outing in district, threw the six-inning no-hitter against the Conley Cougars. But we're live here. It's a beautiful day. Just a few spotty clouds, but sun is setting off to our right side as the two teams kind of huddle down their right side, their respective sides. Georgetown here will be on the third base side of the field. Usually we're at third base on home, and we get to keep it on the road. Pflugerville out of the first base dugout. They'll be in the white pinstripes tonight for the home uniforms. Georgetown breaking out for the first time in the district, the black unis. They'll be in the white pants with the Georgetown blue stripe, the black tops with the Georgetown blue numbers outlined in white, and the black hat with the blue G on the front. The Pflugerville Panthers in the all-white with the pinstripes, blue numerals outlined in gold, white hats with the blue P outlined in gold, and the blue bill out of the first base dugout. The Georgetown Eagles 8-9-1 on the year, 3-0 overall on a three-game win streak. The Pflugerville Panthers 5-14, 0-3 in district on a three-game losing streak. Two undefeated teams in district remain. That is the Hendrickson Hawks and your Georgetown Eagles, both at 3-0. Eastview, Elgin, and Bastrop all three sit at 2-1 on the season. And then Cedar Creek, Pflugerville, and Conley all at 0-3. Head-to-head, Georgetown leads this series against Pflugerville 12-3 in the history of this meeting. Georgetown is on a 6-game winning streak. Pflugerville last won back on April the 9th of 2011. These two schools played a long time ago. It ended, and then they rekindled this in district the last 2 years, and Georgetown has been on that run ever since. 5A Region 3, District 23, that's what we represent. The games tonight, Pflugerville and Georgetown here. Eastview. Cedar Creek is at Eastview. Elgin at Conley. Bastrop at Hendrickson. A couple of games on Saturday involving district teams. McCallum will be at Hendrickson, and Pflugerville will go on the road to take on the Harker Heights baseball team tomorrow. And then next week, Elgin will be at Georgetown on Tuesday. Next week's schedule, make sure you pay attention to that, as it's going to be a shortened week due to Good Friday and the Easter weekend. Tuesday night at Georgetown against the Elgin Wildcats. Wednesday night, the Coaches Show back at Mesquite Creek Outfitters, 7 p.m. start. And then Thursday night, we'll be at Elgin to take on the Wildcats in Game 2 of those two meetings. And then we'll have the weekend off before the next week come up. And so just be attentive to that just so you don't miss anything. Tuesday and Thursday are the games next week, not on Tuesday and Friday due to the Good Friday holiday. We'll move up the Coaches Show to enjoy it there at Mesquite Creek. Another great turnout last night, a good show there. We got to talk to A.J. Gonzalez, the freshman player of the week. We got to talk to Braden Curtin, the JV player of the week. And then to Jack Kiki and Devin Peterson for your varsity team, along with Coach Jordan Vieira. And so an opportunity to come out and enjoy just a fun crowd there at Mesquite Creek Outfitters. 704 South Austin Avenue next Wednesday night, 7 p.m. will be live. Georgetown comes into the ballgame with a .267 batting average. They've averaged 5.8 runs per game on the season, 10.7 runs per game in district. Pflugerville averaging 4.1 runs per game in the season, 2.7 in district. Georgetown coming up with 6.1 hits per game, 86.96 steal percentage. Team ERA for Georgetown, 3.83 on the season, 5.05 strikeouts per game for Eagle pitching. And the opponent batting average for your Eagle pitching staff is .248 with a 93.6 fielding percentage. And so this defense continues to make strides and improve. And so another opportunity here tonight as they go on the road to try to go to 4-0. Georgetown on the road on the season, 1-3-1 is their record. So they like to write that one and kind of bump that back to a 2-3-1, get closer to 500 on the road. At home, Pflugerville has struggled. They are 1-5 on the season here at home. Tuesday games, other scores in the district. Georgetown beat Pflugerville, of course, 7-4. Eastview upended Cedar Creek 11-1. Hendrickson beat Bastrop 7-0. And Elgin Wildcats beat the Conley Cougars 8-0 in their Tuesday matchup. The starting lineup for the Pflugerville Panthers will go this way, as selected by head coach Del Wagner. Leading off at third base, number 1, Jose Correa. Batting second in center field, number 5, Ethan Minjares. Batting third, the first baseman, number 14, Cole Taylor. Batting fourth, the catcher, number 6, Colton Brown. Batting fifth, the DH, number 35, Diego Mora. Batting sixth, the second baseman, number 3, Jordan McGregor. Batting seventh, the left fielder, number 7, Christian Carrillo. Batting eighth, the right fielder, number 11, Darian Galindo. And batting ninth, the shortstop, number 13, Aiden Bradley. So it'll go Correa, Minjares, Taylor in the top third, Brown, Mora, McGregor in the middle third, Carrillo, Galindo, and Bradley in the bottom third for your Pflugerville Panther lineup. On the mound for the Panthers will be number 8, that is Bruce Ferguson for the Pflugerville Panthers. I have him listed as a junior. We'll see when he comes out. Not a lot of info for the Pflugerville Panthers. The starting lineup for your Georgetown Eagles, as selected by head coach Jordan Vieira, his assistant coaches, Chad Ping, David Durrell, James Key, and Frank Anzuris. Athletic trainers, Chad Hennessy, Vanessa Rideau. Athletic director, Jason Dean. Athletic coordinator, Chuck Griffin. The principal, Brian Johnson. Superintendent is Devin Padaville. Basketball operations handled by Jake Bachman, the junior. Stat girls, 3 seniors, Nicole Witt, Carter Campbell, Grace King, and the sophomore, Ruby Hellman, Jared Frimmel, the manager, as well. The starting lineup for your Georgetown Eagles tonight, leading it off in center field, number 17, Devin Peterson. Batting second at second base, Mighty Mouse. Number 2, Talon Ball. Batting third, the pitcher / designated hitter, number 21, that's Riley Leininger. Batting fourth, the catcher, number 16, Reese Herrera. Batting fifth, the right fielder, number 11, Jackson Rainey. Batting sixth, the third baseman, number 6, Luke Holly. Batting 7th, the left fielder, number 10, Andrew Nations. Batting 8th at first base, number 12, that's David Fluitt. And batting ninth at shortstop, number 20, is Jack Kiki. So for the Eagles, Peterson, Ball, and Leiniger in the top third. Herrera, Rainey, and Holly in the middle third. Nations, Fluid, and Kiki in the bottom third. Riley Leiniger, the right-hander, on the mound for your Georgetown Eagles. We'll take a quick timeout while they finish up the introduction to the Pflugerville Panthers. When we come back, the national anthem and the start of tonight's ball game. You're listening to Georgetown Eagle Baseball live here on the SHN Sports Network. And we're back here at Pflugerville High School as we get ready for tonight's action. On the mound, warming up is Bruce Ferguson, the right-hander for the Pflugerville Panthers. 3:13 down the lines here in Pflugerville. 3:55 to the power alleys. 3:63 to dead straightaway center field here on the all grass and dirt surface here at Pflugerville. Very wide foul territories in the infield part of it. They narrow down as they get further out towards the outfield. But a lot of room on the infield portion into the foul territories before the dugouts for players to make plays on any balls batted into the foul territory. And so you'll want to watch for that as anything popped up in the infield remains alive for these infielders. Bruce Ferguson, the righty, goes through his warm-ups. Defensively for the Pflugerville Panthers, Carrillo in left, Benjarez in center, Galindo in right. Correa at third, Bradley at short, McGregor at second, Taylor at first base. Brown behind the plate, Ferguson on the mound, and he'll face off against the top three in the Georgetown batting lineup tonight. Devin Peterson, Talon Ball, Riley Leiniger here in the top of the first inning. Devin Peterson, the center fielder, 6'2", 205-pound senior, will step in and lead things off for Georgetown. He comes into the ball game batting .408 on the season, .653 slugging percentage. 20 for 49 on the season as he leads off for tonight here in the top of the first inning as Ferguson finishes up his warm-up pitches. Coach Vieira will be in the third base coaching box for the Eagles. Coach David Durrell heads down to the first base coaching box for the Georgetown Eagles. The throw down from Colton Brown, and we are getting ready to go as Devin Peterson approaches the plate. He'll step in from the right side to lead things off here for Georgetown. Georgetown baseball getting underway live here at Pflugerville High School. Beautiful night. If you're in the area, drop by, see us. We'll be live here for a couple of hours. Devin Peterson from the right side steps in. Bruce Ferguson will work from the stretch, first base side of the rubber for the Panthers as he comes set for the first pitch of the ball game. And we're underway here at Pflugerville High School. First pitch, ground ball pulled foul down the third baseline. 0-1 the count to Devin Peterson to lead things off here in the top of the first inning. Get that crowd mic pulled in there. I knew I forgot something. Get the sounds of the ball game brought to you just right behind home plate tonight. Ferguson will get the sign from Brown, comes set in the stretch. Peterson ready to go from the right side. The 0-1 pitch. That one stays outside, evens up the count. 1 ball, 1 strike to Peterson. Talon Ball, Riley Leiniger on deck here in the top of the first inning for your Georgetown Eagles. Peterson back in from the right side, ready to go. Ferguson comes set in the stretch. The 1-1 pitch. Outside corner, called strike 2. 1-2 now the count to your senior center fielder, Devin Peterson. The chatter now starts to pick up in the third base dugout for your Eagles. They get ready to go. Peterson back in for the right side. Ferguson gets the sign, comes set in the stretch. The 1-2 pitch. Breaking pitch, swinging a miss, strike 3. And Devin Peterson down on strikes for out number 1. That'll bring up the second baseman, number 2, Talon Ball. Talon, the 5'9", 165-pound senior, bats right, throws right, steps in with 1 out. The base is empty here in the top of the first inning. Ferguson with his first strikeout of the ball game. Talon in from the right side, up close towards the plate. Back of the box from the right-handed hitter as Ferguson comes set in the stretch. First pitch to Talon Ball, stays outside, ball 1. 1-0 the count to the senior second baseman, Talon Ball. Multi-sport athlete here at Georgetown, finished second in the state in wrestling in his division this year. Steps in here, 1 ball, no strikes with 1 out, the 1-0 pitch. Talon Ball gives it a ride to left field. The left fielder, Carrillo, on the run, and he's not going to get to it. It's going to be out of here off the top of the fence. Nope, they're going to say it's down. It came back in, and that's going to be a triple for Talon Ball. About an inch from a home run. I thought he had it. He ducks his head. He thought he had it. It hit off the yellow piping, but it came back into the field of play. So a 1-out triple for Talon Ball. Has the Eagles in business here in the top of the first. Well, 1 out, and Riley Leiniger will step in. Leiniger, the 6'4", 6'2", 220-pound senior. Throws right, bats left. He'll step in here with 1 out. And a runner down at third base. A beautiful shot there from Talon. I thought it was going to be out of here, but instead it's a stand-up triple for the second baseman. First hit allowed for Ferguson, and now Leiniger will dig in from the left side. Ferguson will come set in the stretch. The first pitch to Riley. Leiniger lays off, takes it low for ball 1. Carrillo gave chase, but that ball landed top of the yellow piping on the top of the fence, right about the 355 mark in left center field, and it came back into the field of play. The 1-0 pitch to Leiniger. Leininger, a shot into center field. That'll be an RBI single, and the Eagles are on the board first here in the top of the first. Great job there by Leininger. Drives the 1-0 pitch back up the middle for an RBI single. Back-to-back hits has the Eagles on the board, 1-0 here in the top of the first. And in steps the catcher, number 16, Reese Herrera. Herrera, the 6'1", 190-pound senior. Bats right, throws right, steps in here with one out and a runner at first base. Leininger will run for himself down at first base, being held on by Cole Taylor. Ferguson will come set in the stretch, a quick throw over to first, but Leininger back in there standing. So you'd like to see that. The Eagles get their first hit in the top of the first tonight. Unlike on Tuesday night, it took several innings. The first pitch to Herrera misses wide for ball one. 1-0 the count. Herrera on the season, batting .286. Leininger with that RBI single, his 14th RBI of the season. Herrera back in. Ferguson comes set. The 1-0 pitch way outside. Ball 2. 2-0 the count now. To the catcher, Reese Herrera. Jackson Rainey, the right fielder, on deck for the Eagles. Here in the top of the first, one run across thanks to a one-out triple by Talon Ball. And an RBI single followed up by Riley Leininger to score ball for the first run of the inning. Ferguson comes set. The 2-0 pitch to Herrera. Stays inside, almost hits him. Now a 3-0 count to the catcher, Reese Herrera. Herrera back in for the right side as Leininger leads off first. Taylor holds him on. Ferguson's 3-0 pitch. It's in there for a called strike. 3-1 now the count. Herrera taking all the way there on the 3-0 pitch. Herrera back in for the right side. Ferguson comes set in the stretch. A throw over to first again, and Leininger back in standing on the tag from Taylor. And it is Jaden Howell overrunning for Riley Leininger. It's hard to 6'3", 165 as Howell runs for Leininger. He'll lead off first, being held on by Taylor. Ferguson comes set. The 3-1 pitch to Herrera will come after another throw over, and now a dive back to first base. It is Leininger. I'd tell you, they're both number 12. Who we have running? No, that's David Fluid. It's got to be Leininger. We'll see who it is. We'll get it straight here in a minute. The 3-1 pitch to Herrera, and he gives it a ride down the left field line, but pulls this one foul. Out of play. So the count will go full to Reese Herrera, the catcher. 3 balls, 2 strikes. And Leininger does remain running for himself down at first base. We finally got him to turn. The black jerseys don't have a number on the front, so now we got it. Leininger leads off first, held on by Taylor. 3 balls, 2 strikes, another throw to first. Leininger back in there standing safely at first base. 1 run across here on 2 hits in the top of the first, thanks to a 1-out triple by Talon Ball and a 1-0 RBI single by Leininger back into center field. The payoff pitch to Herrera. Inside corner, called strike 3 as Leininger takes off and steals second base. And so the second out of the inning comes on a strikeout looking at Herrera. But Leininger advances into scoring position on the stolen base. First of the night for Georgetown base runners. And that'll bring up Jackson Rainey, the right fielder. Rainey will step in from the left side. Rainey batting .303 on the season. Jackson, the 6'2", 215-pound senior, steps in from the left side. Leininger leads off second. Ferguson comes set. The first pitch to Rainey. Ground ball hit out towards second. McGregor fields it on a hop. The throw to Taylor in time at first base. And the Eagles are retired here in the top of the first, but not before they pick up 1 run on 2 hits. No errors and 1 runner left on base. After half an inning, Georgetown 1. Pflugerville coming up to bat. Eagle baseball continues in just a moment here on the SHN Sports Network. Stay with us. Back here at Pflugerville High School, we go to the bottom of the first inning. Riley Leininger on the mound for your Georgetown Eagles coming into the ball game. Leininger 2-1 on the season. He's thrown 14 innings in 3 games pitched, 3 starts for Leininger. He's allowed 9 hits, 7 runs, 6 of them earned. Has a 3.0 ERA. Has struck out 20, walked 2, only hit 5, left 11 on base. A batting average against of 176 against Leininger, the big 6'2", 220-pound senior right-hander. As Leininger finishes his warm-ups here for the bottom of the first. Defensively for your Eagles, Nations in left, Peterson in center, Rainey in right. Third base is Luke Hawley, shortstop Kiki. Second, Talon Ball, first base David Fluitt. Behind the plate, Reese Herrera, and on the mound is Riley Leininger. Leininger's last warm-up pitch as Herrera will throw it down. He'll face off against the top 3 in the lineup for the Panthers, Correa, Minjares, and Taylor. Jose Correa, the third baseman, number 1, will step in from the right side to lead things off here in the bottom of the first for the Panthers. And Leininger, the righty, gets ready to go here in the bottom of the first. 1-0 Georgetown, the 1 run in the bottom or top of the first, thanks to a couple of hits. Talon Ball and Riley Leininger combining with a triple and an RBI single to score the first run of the ball game, a 1-0 lead. We go to the bottom of the first. Leininger will work from the first base side of the rubber in the windup for the first pitch to Correa. And that one stays high for ball 1. 1-0 the count. To the third baseman, Jose Correa. Ethan Minjares, the center fielder on deck. Cole Taylor, the first baseman in the hole for the Panthers. From the windup, the 1-0 pitch. Fouled off back to the backstop. 1-1 now the count to Correa. The other night, Correa walked all 4 at-bats in the plate appearances in the game at Georgetown on Tuesday night. Scored 1 run for the Panthers. The 1-1 pitch, up and away, ball 2, 2-1 the count. Now for Correa to lead things off for the Panthers here in the bottom of the first. Leininger gets the sign from the windup from Herrera. The 2-1 pitch, up and away, ball 3, 3-1 the count now. Not sure what it is about Correa, but Eagle pitching has not done well against him. 4 walks and 4 plate appearances. 3-1 the count now from Leininger. Gets the sign from the windup, the 3-1 pitch. And a foul ball sent down the right field line, but it is going to curl out of play, and the count goes full now. To Correa to lead things off here in the bottom of the first. Only 1 time in the game on Tuesday did Eagle pitching get 2 strikes on Correa in the 4 plate appearances that he had. He's back in for the right side. Leininger gets the sign from the windup, the payoff pitch. And a line drive hit out towards second. Talon Ball fields it in the air for out number 1. L4 in the book to erase Correa for out number 1. And that'll bring up the center fielder, number 5, Ethan Minjares. Minjares will step in from the left side. He was, let's see here, in the ballgame the other night. He was 2 for 2 on the night. He had a double in the second inning. He walked twice and singled in the 7th. And 2 for 2 for the Panthers. Steps in here with 1 out and the base is empty. Swing and a miss on the first pitch. 0-1 the count. The other night against Georgetown, Minjares batted in the number 6 slot. Tonight in the number 2 hole for the Panthers. Minjares back from the left side. The 0-1 pitch from Leininger. Inside corner, called strike 2. And Leininger quickly ahead in the count. No balls and 2 strikes to Minjares with Cole Taylor, the first baseman, on deck. The 0-2 pitch from Leininger stays low and away for ball 1. 1-2 now the count. Holly up on the, got a step off the grass at third base now with the 2 strikes, backed up a couple of steps. Peterson about 5 steps left of second base towards left field in the center field area. Swing and a miss, strike 3 for out number 2. Minjares down on strikes. First strikeout of the ball game for Leininger, 21st of the season. And in steps Cole Taylor, the first baseman for the Panthers. Taylor, the sophomore first baseman, will step in from the right side. Where's number 14 as he gets in there ready to go? Leininger gets a sign from Herrera from the windup. The first pitch to Taylor. Misses low and away, ball 1. 1 ball, no strikes to Cole Taylor. Colton Brown, the catcher, on deck. Should Taylor be able to extend the inning for the Panthers? Leininger wastes no time, gets a sign from Herrera, the 1-0 pitch. Inside, just inside for ball 2. 2-0 the count. Now to Cole Taylor. Taylor the other night 0 for 3 in the ball game with a walk and a run scored. Steps in here with a 2-0 count. 2 balls, no strikes. The 2-0 pitch outside for ball 3. And a 3-0 count now to the first baseman, Cole Taylor. Taylor back after the right side. Leininger gets the sign. The 3-0 pitch. That one's in there for a called strike. 3-1 now the count. To the first baseman, Cole Taylor. 3-1 pitch. Foul ball sent down the first baseline. Well out of play. And the count goes full now to Cole Taylor. 3 balls and 2 strikes with 2 outs. The base is empty here in the bottom of the first. Leininger wastes no time. He's ready to go. Taylor back up for the right side. The payoff pitch to Taylor. Stays high for ball 4 and a 2-out walk. Puts Taylor down at first base. Only the 3rd batter walked by Leininger on the season. And that'll bring up the catcher, number 6, Colton Brown. Brown was in left field the other night for the Panthers. He was 0 for 3 in the ball game with a walk and a run scored, as well as he has to remove the shin guards. He'll step in here from the right side for the Panthers with 2 outs and a base runner at first base. Fluid will hold Taylor on at first now, and Leininger will move to the stretch with the base runner on. He'll work for the first base side of the rubber in the stretch as well. Gets the sign from Herrera and comes set in the stretch. First pitch to Brown. Line drive hit foul down the third baseline. 0-1 the count to the catcher, Cole Brown. Diego Mora, the DH, moves on deck for the Panthers. Should Brown be able to extend this inning here in the bottom of the first for the Panthers? 1-0 Georgetown. 1 run on 2 hits in the top of the inning. And so far, the Panthers have 1 base runner on a walk and 2 outs here in the bottom of the first. Taylor leads off first. Fluid will hold him on there. Leininger will come set in the stretch. The 0-1 pitch. Breaking ball stays outside for ball 1. 1-1 now the count to Colton Brown. Leininger comes set in the stretch. Go over to first base, and they've got him picked off. What a job there. Taylor leaning towards second base, and Leininger, a beautiful pickoff move to get out of the inning with no damage done. 1-3 on the pickoff to sit down at Cole Taylor and the Panthers here in the bottom of the first. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left on after 1 complete. Georgetown 1, Pflugerville nothing. Eagle baseball continues in just a moment. Back here live, Pflugerville High School. We go to the top of the second inning. The Eagles will bring up the 6, 7, and 8 hitters, Luke Hawley, Andrew Nations, and David Fluid. Here in the top of the second with a 1-run lead. 1 run, 2 hits, no errors for the Eagles in the first. No runs, no hits, no errors for the Panthers in the first as well. Luke Hawley steps in, 195 on the season. He'll lead things off against Ferguson. Hawley in from the right side. Luke Hawley, the 6'2", 180-pound junior. Bats right, throws right, steps in. Ferguson comes set in the stretch. The first pitch to Hawley. It misses low for ball 1. In the first inning, Ferguson only threw 15 pitches but gave up the run on 2 hits. Works here in his second inning for the Panthers. Comes set in the stretch. The 1-0 pitch to Hawley. Way outside, ball 2, 2-0 the count now. Holly had a big RBI single in the 6th inning for the Eagles the other night to extend the lead for the Eagles to get that win. 2-0 pitch popped up into left field. Carrillo will come in about 3 steps, settle under it, make the catch for out number 1. F7 in the book to retire Holly for the first out of the inning. And that'll bring up the left fielder, number 10, Andrew Nations. Nations is 6'2", 190-pound senior. Bats left, throws left. Will step in here with 1 out and the base is empty in the top of the 2nd for your Eagles. Flew the first baseman on deck for the Eagles here in the top of the 2nd. As Nations steps in for the left side, comes set. Ferguson a long look in, gets a sign from Brown and comes set in the stretch. The first pitch to Nations. On the outside part of the plate for a called strike. 0-1 the count now to Andrew. Nations comes into the ball game. Batting .360 in 14 games, 25 at-bats, 31 plate appearances. The 0-1 pitch stays inside, ball 1, 1-1 the count now to Andrew. Ferguson comes set, the 1-1 pitch. Way outside. 2-1 now the count. To the lefty, Andrew Nations. 1 out, the base is empty here at the top of the 2nd. The sun sets off to our right side. Beautiful night for baseball. Next week, Elgin will come to Georgetown on Tuesday night. 7 o'clock first pitch. Come out to Eagle Field and support your Eagles. It's a Tuesday night special there. Elgin comes into town. Wednesday night we'll be at Mesquite Creek Outfitters for the Eagle Baseball Coaches Show at 7 p.m. And then Thursday night we'll be on the road at Elgin. The 2-1 pitch to Nations. He'll lay off and take it on the outside part of the plate for a called strike. 2-2 now the count to the left fielder, Andrew Nations. So a busy 3-day packed week next week for your Eagles before Good Friday and the Easter weekend. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday special for you. Come join us at all or one of them. Ferguson comes set, the 2-2 pitch. And Nations gives it a charge into left field. Carrillo a step back now will roam in about 3 steps and make the catch for out number 2. F7 in the book to retire Nations. And that'll bring up the left-handed hitting first baseman, David Fluid. The number 8 hitter in the Eagle lineup. Fluid batting .286 on the season in 10 games, 21 at-bats and 27 plate appearances. 6 for 21, .286 average, .381 slugging percentage, .407 on-base percentage. Fluid will step in here with 2 outs and no 1 on. Ferguson comes set, the first pitch to Fluid. Stays up and away for ball 1. On deck is the number 9 hitter, Jack Kiki, the shortstop. Should Fluid be able to extend the inning for Georgetown here? 1-0 the count. Ferguson looks in and gets the sign from Colton Brown. Now comes set in the stretch. The 1-0 pitch to Fluid. And Fluid will foul it back to the net. Or strike 1. 1-1 the count now to Fluid. Here in the bottom of the 2nd at Pflugerville High School. Fluid settles back in for the left side. Ferguson comes set in the stretch. The 1-1 pitch. Fluid swing and a miss. Only off-speed pitch. 1-2 now the count. Your first baseman, David Fluid. Ferguson gets the sign and comes set. The 1-2 pitch. That one stays just outside for ball 2. 2-2 now the count to Fluid. 2 outs and the base is empty here in the top of the 2nd. 1-0 to Georgetown. The 1 run in the top of the 1st has the early lead. The 2-2 pitch. That one's low and inside. Now the count goes full to Fluid. 3 balls and 2 strikes with 2 outs here in the top of the 2nd. Ferguson gets the sign from Brown. Comes set in the stretch. The payoff pitch to Fluid. And Fluid will ground it foul down the first baseline. And remains alive in the at-bat. 3 balls, 2 strikes with 2 outs, and the base is empty for Georgetown. Kiki on deck. Should Fluid be able to extend it here in the top of the 2nd. Ferguson comes set. The payoff pitch to Fluid. Up and away, ball 4. A 2-out walk gives the Eagles a base runner here in the top of the 2nd. First walk of the ball game for Bruce Ferguson, and that'll bring up the shortstop, Jack Kiki. Kiki, the 5'11", 160-pound sophomore. Bats right, throws right. The shortstop tonight steps in here in the number 9 slot with 2 outs and a runner at first. Fluid will lead off first as Taylor holds him on there. Ferguson comes set. The first pitch to Kiki. Breaking ball in there for a called strike. Kiki, 233 batting average on the season in 14 games appearing. 0-1 the count to the number 9 hitter, Jack Kiki. Fluid down at first with a 2-out walk, held on by Taylor. Ferguson comes set. The 0-1 pitch to Kiki. That one stays inside for ball 1. Count evens out at 1-1 now. Devin Peterson, the center fielder, on deck. Should Kiki be able to extend the inning? Correa playing about 2 steps behind the bag at third base. Fluid leads off first. Kiki ready to go. Ferguson's 1-1 pitch. Kiki gives it a charge into center field. But coming in to make the catch is Minharas for out number 3. L8 in the book to retire Kiki and the Eagles here in the top of the second. No runs on no hits, no errors. And 1 runner left on base after an inning and a half. Georgetown 1, Pflugerville nothing. Eagle baseball will continue in just a moment. Back here at Pflugerville High School, we go to the bottom of the second inning. Coming up to bat will be the catcher, Colton Brown, in the number 4 slot. He is back up as his at-bat ended abruptly with a pickoff of Cole Taylor at first base. So Brown will lead it off here. The 4, 5, and 6 hitters from the windup. Leininger's first pitch is low and outside, ball 1. 18 pitches thrown in the first inning by Leininger. Allowed no hits, struck out 1, walked 1. Faced the minimum there in the top of the inning, thanks to the pickoff of Taylor. The 1-0 pitch to Brown. And that one hits him. Don't rub it. First batter hit by a pitch by Leininger. Puts Colton Brown down at first base and brings up Diego Moore, the designated hitter. 6th batter on the season, hit by a pitch by Leininger. As now he'll move to the stretch here to face off against the left-handed hitting Diego Mora. Fluid holds on the runner at first base as Mora squares the bunt to throw over to first base. And Brown dives back in safely there, head first. Holly charging in on the bunt, shown by Mora. See what he does here as Brown leads off first. Fluid holds him on. Leininger comes set in the stretch. The pitch to Moore, he squares the bunt. He'll bunt it down the third baseline. Holly will field it. His throw is to first base in time to retire Mora. So a beautiful sack bunt there by Mora moves the runner into scoring position. 6-3 on the putout of Mora for out number 1, and that'll bring up the second baseman, Jordan McGregor, as Colton Brown gets into scoring position at second base. So a beautiful sack bunt there by Mora. McGregor steps in here from the right side with 1 out, the runner at second base. McGregor was 0 for 4 in the night ball game on Tuesday night, 3 strikeouts and reached on a fielder's choice. Leininger comes set. He'll look back towards second base, but no throw as Brown scrambles back to the bag. McGregor back in from the right side, ready to go as Leininger gets the sign and comes set in the stretch. The first pitch to McGregor Popped up right side of the infield. Lots of room in foul territory. Fluid has room. He'll settle under it, make the catch for out number 2. And a big out there with a runner in scoring position. That'll be P3 in the book to retire McGregor. And with 2 outs, that'll bring up the left fielder, Christian Carrillo. Carrillo will step in from the left side with 2 outs and a runner at second base. Carrillo ready to go as Leininger comes set. Now he'll step off and reset. Carrillo the other night was 0 for 4 in the ball game as well for the Panthers. Started out on the mound, then went defensively to right field. Leininger comes set, a look back at second base. First pitch to Carrillo. Stays low for ball 1. 1-0 the count with 2 outs and a runner at second base. Here in the bottom of the second is the sun about to disappear on the horizon off to our right side. Leininger comes set in the stretch, the 1-0 pitch. That one's in there for a called strike. Evens it up at 1 ball and 1 strike to Christian Carrillo. A 1-1 count to Carrillo. Leininger will look back at second base. The 1-1 pitch. Just outside, ball 2. 2-1 now the count. Darian Galindo, the right fielder, on deck for the Panthers. Should Carrillo be able to extend the inning here in the bottom of the second. 2 balls, 1 strike, 2 outs, a runner at second base. The 2-1 pitch from Leininger. That one's in there for a called strike. 2-2 now the count to the left fielder, Christian Carrillo. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, a runner at second. Here in the bottom of the second. 2s across the board. Georgetown with a 1-0 lead. Leininger comes set in the stretch. The 2-2 pitch. In there, called strike 3. Carrillo sat down on strikes looking for out number 3. And the Panthers go in order. Nope, they don't go in order. They go 4 up, 3 down here in the bottom of the second. And after 2, Georgetown leads it by 1-0. Eagle baseball continues here in just a moment. Stay with us. And we go to the top of the third inning. Georgetown will bring up the 1, 2, and 3 hitters again. Here in the top of the third, Peterson, Ball, and Leininger. Peterson steps in. 0 for 1 in the ball game. Struck out to lead off things in the top of the first. Steps in here in the top of the third. Ferguson on for his third inning of work. The first pitch to Peterson. That one stays up and in for ball 1. 1-0 the count. Through 2 innings, Ferguson has allowed 2 hits, struck out 2, walked 1, allowed 1 run, thrown 33 pitches through those 2 innings, and works here in the top of the third. 0-1 the count. 1-0 the count. The 1-0 pitch misses outside, ball 2. 2-0 the count. To Devin Peterson with Talon Ball in the hole. Riley Leininger, or Talon Ball on deck. Riley Leininger in the hole for the Eagles here in the top of the third. Ferguson comes set. The 2-0 pitch to Devin Peterson. Stays inside, ball 3. Devin way ahead here in the count now. 3 balls and no strikes as he leads off for the Eagles here in the top of the 3rd inning. Ferguson comes set, the 3-0 pitch. That one's in there for a called strike. 3-1 now, the count to Devin Peterson. Crosstown rivalry underway over at Eastview tonight. The Lady Eagles softball team taking on the Lady Patriots. The 3-1 pitch, low and outside, misses for ball 4. And Devin Peterson, a leadoff walk to start off things here in the top of the 3rd for Georgetown. Second walk of the ball game by Ferguson. And that'll bring up Talon Ball, who's 1 for 1 of the ball game. And about 2 inches away from being 1 for 1 with a home run. As he landed his ball about 355 on top of the yellow piping on top of the fence, and it came back into play, but a stand-up triple. And then Talon was driven in by Riley Leininger. And now a visit from the coaching staff of Pflugerville. We'll take a quick timeout. Eagle baseball continues in a moment. Coach Dustin Johnson went out for a mound visit there, comes back, and Ferguson stays on the mound for the Panthers here in the top of the 3rd. Now Talon Ball will step in with no outs and a runner at first. A leadoff base on balls for Devin Peterson has the runner aboard for Georgetown here in the top of the 3rd. And a 1-0 lead. Peterson will lead off. Cole Taylor will hold him on there. As Ferguson looks in and gets the sign. Comes set in the stretch. Throw over to first base. Peterson dives back in. The ball gets away down the first baseline. Devin will easily get to second base, and he'll hold up there. So an error on the pitcher, Bruce Ferguson. First error of the ball game for the Panthers. Gives Devin Peterson second base. And so now a runner in scoring position with no outs here in the top of the 3rd. Talon Ball will step back in from the right side. Ferguson looks in and gets a sign from the catcher, Colton Brown. Now comes set in the stretch. A look back at second base. Talon squares around a bunt. The first pitch to ball. He'll take it, pull it back, and take it for ball 1. So 1-0 the count to Ball with the runner at second base. No outs here in the top of the 3rd. Ferguson will come set in the stretch. A look back at second. Now a throw to second base. Peterson back in safely there. Riley Leininger waits on deck. Reese Herrera in the hole for the Eagles here in the top of the 3rd. A 1-0 count to Ball. The runner in second base is Devin Peterson. The 1-0 pitch. Nope, Ferguson's going to turn towards second. Now going to get Peterson a rundown, but not in time. He'll scramble back to second base as Ferguson held on to it. So Devin Peterson gets out of trouble there. Safe at second base. Talon steps back in from the right side, ready to go as Peterson leads off second. Ferguson will get the sign from Brown and comes set in the stretch. The 1-0 pitch. Talon lays off and takes it low and outside for ball 2. 2-0 the count now. 2 balls, no strikes, no outs. A runner at second here in the top of the 3rd. A 1-0 lead for Georgetown. Talon back in from the right side. Ferguson comes set in the stretch. Look back at second. The 2-0 pitch. Talon lays off. It's away and in the dirt. Ferguson takes off on the pitch, and he'll steal third base there on that. They will not give a stolen base. It'll be a wild pitch there as it's down and away in the dirt. Brown did a good job as possible to keep it near, but Devin Peterson got a great jump. And now he's down to third on that wild pitch, and a runner at third base with a 3-0 count. No outs here in the top of the 3rd Ferguson comes set. The 3-0 pitch to Talon Ball. Inside, ball 4. Back-to-back walk has runners on the corners. Third walk of the ball game for Ferguson. And Talon Ball. Ferguson's going to stumble. Peterson heads home. And play at the plate, and he'll be out, but Talon Ball gets all the way around to third base. So that one will go 1-3 on the putout of Peterson for out number 1. So now 1 out on the inning, and a runner at third base. His ball had taken off after the base on balls and headed to second base, trying to draw the attention of Ferguson. And he turned in time to get Peterson in the rundown between third and home. And after stumbling, makes the throw to Colton Brown. He's tagged out at home. And so Peterson's out at the plate. Talon Ball moves up to third base, and Leininger steps in with 1 out and a runner at third. First pitch from Ferguson to Riley Leininger. It's outside for ball 1. 1-0 the count. Ferguson gets his sign, comes set in the stretch now. The 1-0 pitch to Leininger. That one's in there for a called strike on the off-speed pitch. 1-1 now, the count to Leininger. A 1-1 the count with 1 out and a runner at third base here in the top of the third. Bruce Ferguson gets a sign and comes set in the stretch. The 1-1 pitch to Riley. Leininger gives it a charge to right field. The right fielder on his horse. Galindo backs up, and he watches it go over the fence. A 2-run tank for Riley Leininger, and the Eagles take a 3-run lead now, 3-0. Here in the top of the third, Riley turned on that 1-1 pitch and drove it over the right field wall at the scoreboard. What a shot there by Riley Leininger, a 2-run tank to give the Eagles a 3-run lead here in the top of the third. And that'll bring the second visit to the mound here in the top of the inning, and that'll be all for Bruce Ferguson. We'll take a timeout on this call to the bullpen. Eagle baseball continues in just a moment here on the SHN Sports Network. back to action here in the top of the third. Jaden Oswald on the pitch. A righty for the Panthers as Reese Herrera steps in. First pitch misses outside for ball one to Herrera. He's 0 for 1 in the ball game. Struck out looking in the first. Steps in here with 2 runs across an inning thanks to a 2-run bomb by Riley Leininger to give the Eagles a 3-0 lead. The 1-0 pitch from Oswald. Misses low and outside. Ball 2. 2-0 the count to Herrera with Rainey on deck with 1 out here in the top of the third. 2 in the third innings pitch for Ferguson. He threw 45 pitches, allowed 3 runs, 3 hits, 2 strikeouts, 3 walks, and 1 wild pitch. The 2-0 pitch to Herrera. Low and outside. Ball 3. 3-0 the count now. To Reese Herrera. Oswald works from the stretch for the Panthers. Comes set, the 3-0 pitch to Herrera. And that one's high and past the catcher for ball 4. So, first walk issued by Oswald. This is the first batter he faces. Herrera will head down to first base. A courtesy runner will come out here for the catcher. Courtesy runner is number 4. That's Cord Lawrence. He'll come out to run for Reese Herrera. Cord Lawrence, the 5'9", 155-pound senior, heads over to first base. And in steps number 11, Jackson Rainey. He's 0 for 1 of the ball game. Grounded out to second base back in the first inning. Steps in here with 1 out, a runner at first base. 2 runs across in the inning for the Eagles, a 3-run lead. Rainey steps in from the left side. Oswald gets the sign and comes set in the stretch. The pitch. Low and in the dirt for ball 1. 1-0 the count to Jackson Rainey. 5 straight balls since coming in for Oswald on the mound for the Panthers in relief. Here in the top of the third. 1-0 the count to Rainey. Lawrence leads off first, held on by Taylor as Oswald comes set in the stretch. The 1-0 pitch. That one misses. No. It's called strike. So you hear Coach Vieira talking to the umpire. 1-1 to count to Jackson Rainey now with 1 out and the runner at first. Luke Hawley on deck for the Eagles here in the top of the third. Rainey back in for the left side now as Oswald gets the sign from Colton Brown and will come set in the stretch. The lead off by Lawrence at first. Taylor holds him on there. Throw over to first, and Lawrence dives back in safely. Cord Lawrence, 6 stolen bases on the year, 1 caught stealing as he leads off. The 1-1 pitch, outside corner called strike 2. So now 1-2 count to Jackson Rainey with 1 out. The runner at first base. Lawrence leads off the 1-2 pitch. Rainey hits it towards first base. Taylor will field it. His throw to second in time to get Lawrence, but no chance for the double play there. So Rainey will reach on the fielder's choice. 3-6 on the putout to cut down Lawrence at second base for out number 2. Rainey down at first base on the fielder's choice, and now Luke Hawley will step in with 2 outs and a runner at first. Luke 0 for 1 of the ball game. A fly out to left field, steps in here with 2 outs and a runner at first base. Hawley from the left or the right side steps in, ready to go. So Rainey leads off first. Taylor holds him on. Oswald comes set, a quick throw over, and Rainey dives back in safely at first base. Should Hawley extend the inning? Andrew Nations waits on deck for the Eagles. Rainey with 3 stolen bases on the year as he leads off, held on by Taylor. Oswald set in the stretch. Long pause. Hawley will take his time at home plate. Everybody will step off and reset. Oswald gets the sign and comes set. Throw over. Jackson Rainey off on first movement. Cole Taylor throws down to second, but not it's in time. But it came out of the glove of the shortstop. Aiden Bradley. So Jackson Rainey will get the stolen base. Second of the night for Eagle runners. And now a runner in scoring position with 2 outs. Luke Hawley still waiting on his first pitch. In the at-bat. Hawley back in from the right side. Now he'll step out. Everyone resets. Oswald will come set. First pitch to Luke Hawley. That one misses outside for ball 1. 1 ball, no strikes, 2 outs, a runner at second base. 2 runs across here in the inning so far for the Eagles, a 3-0 lead over the Panthers. Hawley back in from the right side as Oswald will get the sign from the catcher, Colton Brown. Rainey leads off second base. The 1-0 pitch to Hawley down low in the dirt. Rainey takes off. It's in the dirt. Colton Brown can't get a grip on it. And it's another stolen base for the Eagles. Now a runner in scoring position down at third base, just 90 feet away. A 2-0 count to Luke Hawley here with 2 outs in the top of the third. The 2-0 pitch to Luke. Stays just high, ball 3. 3-0 count now to Luke with Andrew Nations waiting on deck. Should he get a chance here in the top of the third? 3-0 your score. 2 runs across on a 2-run home run by Riley Leininger, helping himself out. The 2-run bomb to give the Eagles a 3-0 lead. The 3-0 pitch. And that one's in there for a called strike. 3-1 to count. So Hawley was taking there. Rainey down at third base. 3-1 to count to Luke Hawley with 2 outs here in the top of the third. Oswald a long look in, comes set in the stretch. The 3-1 pitch. And that's in there for a called strike 2. So Hawley will retreat back, pick up the bat, step back in the box. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Oswald comes set. The payoff pitch to Hawley. And Hawley will foul it off down the first baseline. Stay alive in the at-bat. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Hawley back in from the right side. Oswald comes set in the stretch. The payoff pitch. And that one stays high. A 2-out walk has runners at the corners for the Eagles. Second walk issued by Oswald since coming in. Here in relief in the top of the third, and that'll bring up Andrew Nations. He's 0 for 1 in the ball game. A fly out to left field as Nations steps in here with 2 outs and runners on the corners. Hawley leads off first. Taylor will hold him on there. Rainey leads off third base. Oswald comes set in the stretch. The pitch to Nations as Hawley takes off running. Fake the throw down. No throw there as Hawley still second base. Now both runners in scoring positions for Georgetown here with 2 outs. 0-1 to count on the called strike to Nations. Hawley's 9th stolen base of the season. Nations back in there. Oswald comes set. The 0-1 pitch. And a ball slapped foul towards the dugout at third base. And 0-2 now the count to Andrew Nations. With 2 outs and runners at second and third here in the top of the third for Georgetown. An opportunity to tack on a couple more runs. Andrew back in from the left side. Oswald gets the sign and comes set. The 0-2 pitch to Nations. Stays outside for ball 1. 1 ball, 2 strikes the count. The 1-2 pitch to Andrew. Andrew gives it a charge foul down the third baseline, out of play. Stays alive in the at-bat. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Nation's ready to go. Oswald now comes set in the stretch. Now he'll step off and reset. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs here in the top of the third. 2 runs across for Georgetown and runners at second and third. Nation's back in from the left side. Oswald will look in and gets the sign from the catcher, Colton Brown. Rainey leads off third. Luke Hawley leads off second base as Oswald comes set in the stretch. The 1-2 pitch to Andrew Nations. Curveball stays up and in. Ball 2. Nope. Nations heads down to first base and hit his jersey, but the home plate umpire is going to say it didn't hit him. So Coach Vieira comes down to talk to the home plate umpire. As Nations comes back, his hand at his bat, said it didn't hit him. So the count goes to 2 balls and 2 strikes. A visit from Colton Brown out to his pitcher, Jaden Oswald. So it's a 2-2 count to Nations with 2 outs and runners on second and third. Holly leads off second. Jackson Rainey off third. Oswald comes set in the stretch. Nations ready to go. The 2-2 pitch. And oh, nice. Just a bit behind it, fouled it off down the third baseline, but Nation's a good bat here. Fouls off another one that stays alive. 2 balls and 2 strikes with the 2 outs. Nation's quickly back in there, ready to go. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Oswald comes set. The 2-2 pitch. Outside for a ball 3. Now the count goes full. David Fluett on deck. Should Nations be able to extend this inning for Georgetown here in the top of the third. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Runners on second and third. Holly leads off second. Rainey off third. Oswald comes set in the stretch. The payoff pitch to Andrew Nations. Ground ball hit out towards second. McGregor will field it. He bobbles it. Now we're not even going to make a play, and that's going to score 2 runs for the Eagles. Nations takes off to second base. He's going to look towards third, and now he'll halt there and head back to second base. So a big error on the play at second base by the second baseman, McGregor. Ends up plating 2 runs for Georgetown, and Nations advances to second base on it. And now Fluett will step in with a 5-run lead here in the top of the third. Holly scores all the way around from second base as both runners off on the contact. So Nations reaches on the E4. Now 4 runs across an inning as Fluett steps in. First pitch to Fluett, down low in the dirt for ball 1. Nations is going to try to advance on it, and he does. What a job there of heads-up base running by Nations as he advances on that pitch down in the dirt. Charge that one to the pitcher, Oswald. Now a runner in 90 feet away in scoring position with the 1-0 count to David Fluett. 2 outs here in the inning. The 1-0 pitch up and away, ball 2. 2-0 count to David Fluett. He's 0 for 0 in the ball game. He walked back of the second inning as he steps in here with a 2-0 count and 2 outs and a runner at third base. 4 runs across in the inning. On 1 Eagle hit and a couple of errors for the Panthers. The 2-0 pitch to Fluett, and he'll give it a charge into left field. Does it get down fair? No, just foul. So the count goes to 2 balls and 1 strike to David Fluett. Fluett back in from the left side. Oswald a long look in. Gets the pitch from Colton Brown. Will come set in the stretch. The 2-1 pitch to Fluett. That one stays up and away. Ball 3. 3-1 count to Fluett now with 2 outs. Here in the top of the third. 4 runs across for the Eagles. They lead it 5-0. Fluett back in for the left side as Oswald comes set in the stretch. The 3-1 pitch. Fluett will give it a charge into left field, but Carrillo seems to have a beat on it. Nope, can't get to it. It's down. A base hit there. Scores Nation. Fluett around first. He's headed to second base, and it'll be a 2-out double to score an RBI for David Fluett. And the Eagles lead it 6-0. Nope, no base hit on it. They're going to give an error to the left fielder, Carrillo. But nonetheless, Scores the 5th run of the inning and a 6-run lead for Georgetown now. Flew it up to second base on that error, E7 in the book. 3rd error of the inning for the Panthers, and in steps Jack Kiki. He's 0 for 1 of the ball game. Steps in here with 2 outs and a runner at second. The first pitch misses up and away for ball 1. Kiki lined out to the center fielder in his first at bat. Steps in here. 5 runs across in the inning, a 6-run lead. He's got a runner in scoring position at second base with 2 outs, a 1-0 count as Oswald comes set in the stretch. The 1-0 pitch to Kiki will not be yet as Kiki takes time as Oswald took his time on the mound. And so everybody will step off and reset. 1 ball, no strikes, 2 outs. Kiki back in for the right side, the 1-0 pitch. Kiki slaps it down the first baseline. Fair! RBI base hit. Kiki will circle first. He's going to be headed to second base, and he'll be in there with a stand-up double, an RBI double for Jack Kiki, and the Eagles lead it 7-0. A good piece of hitting there by the sophomore. Plates Andrew Nations are fluid around from second base for the 6th run of the inning, and Georgetown leads it 7-0 here in the top of the 3rd. Just the 2nd hit of the inning for the Eagles, but a big one there for Jack Kiki. And we go to the top of the lineup as Devin Peterson steps in. He's 0 for 1 in the ball game, a strikeout and a walk. Steps in here with 2 outs. The first pitch to Peterson. He lays off and takes the breaking pitch for a called strike. 0-1 the count. The 0-1 pitch to Peterson stays high. Ball 1. 1-1 the count. The Eagles have batted around here in the inning now. This is Peterson's 2nd plate appearance in the inning. 1-1 the count with 2 outs. A runner at second. Kiki leads off there. Oswald comes set. A look back at second base. The 1-1 pitch. Nope, he'll turn towards second, but no throw as Kiki back easily standing. Chatter picking up out of the third base dugout. The Eagles on fire here with 6 across in the top of the 3rd, a 7-run lead. The 1-1 pitch to Peterson. Low and outside, ball 2, 2-1 the count to Devin Peterson. Two balls, 1 strike, 2 outs. As Oswald comes set in the stretch, a look back at second base. The 2-1 pitch. That one's in there for a called strike. The count goes even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Oswald comes set. The 2-2 pitch to Peterson. That one stays up and away. Ball 3, and the count goes full now to Devin Peterson here in the top of the 3rd as he bats for the 2nd time in the inning, the 10th batter of the inning for the Eagles. On deck, Talon Ball waits. Should Peterson extend the inning? Kiki leads off second. The count is full with 2 outs here in the top of the 3rd. Oswald comes set in the stretch. The payoff pitch. It's high, ball 4. And now runners on first and second. Here in the top of the 3rd. It's a 3rd walk issued by Oswald since coming on to relief. Here in the top of the 3rd. And now Talon Ball will step in. He's 1 for 1 on the night. A triple and a run scored in the 1st. He walked and scored a run in the 3rd. He was one of the 2 runs scored on the 2-run home run hit by Riley Leininger earlier in this inning. Peterson leads off first. Kiki off second. The first pitch to Talon Ball. Low and outside. Ball 1. Good job by Colton Brown, the catcher, to keep that one from getting past him. Letting the runners advance. The 11th batter of the inning for Georgetown. 1-0 count to Talon Ball with 2 outs. Runners on first and second. The 1-0 pitch. Up and in. Ball 2. 2-0 the count. On deck, Riley Leininger for the Eagles. Should Talon Ball be able to extend the inning. 2-0 count with 2 outs and runners at first and second. 6 runs across. A 7-0 lead for Georgetown. Oswald comes set in the stretch. The 2-0 pitch to Talon Ball. And a ball hit into right field. It's going to be shallow. It's going to be a tough play. And the right fielder makes a mistake. He can't catch it. That'll score 2 more runs. Talon Ball around first, around second. He's headed to third. And it's going to be the 4th error of the inning for Pflugerville, and it scores 2 more runs. It's a 9-0 lead. Talon Ball all the way around to third on the error by Galindo. And the inning continues for the Eagles. So they'll mark it down as an E9. That scores Peterson all the way from first. Scores Kiki from second. And in steps Riley Leiniger. He's 2 for 2 on the night, a single and a home run. The first pitch to Leiniger here. He'll lay off and take it high for ball 1. One and 0 the count to Riley Leiniger with Talon Ball down at third base. 2 outs here in the top of the third. The 1-0 pitch to Leiniger. Outside, ball 2. His first at bat of the third inning. Leiniger hit the 2-run home run to right center, or to pretty much right field, right at the scoreboard. Scored Talon Ball and Riley for the first 2 runs of the inning, and now 8 runs later, Leiniger back up with a 2-0 count. The 2-0 pitch to Leiniger. Outside, ball 3. Panthers have a man up in the bullpen warming up. Looks to be number 4, Garrett Holmes. 3-0 the count to Leiniger with 2 outs. The runner at third. Ball leads off there. The 3-0 pitch to Riley. Outside, ball 4. A 2-out walk. The 4th issued by Oswald. Has runners at the corners for the Eagles here in the top of the third. Coming up to bat will be number 16, Reese Herrera, the 13th batter of the inning for Georgetown. 8 runs across here in the inning on 2 hits and 4 Pflugerville errors and several walks. The Eagles have kept battling. Herrera in now with runners on the corners. The first pitch to Reese, low and in the dirt. Leiniger will take off to second, but no throw there with Talon Ball down at third base. So now runners at second and third. 1-0 the count to Reese Herrera. 2 outs here in the top of the third. Herrera on the night, 0 for 1. Struck out looking in the first. Walked in earlier in the gets the sign from the catcher Brown and comes set in the stretch. The 1-0 pitch to Reese. Reese takes it for a called strike. 1-1 the count. Oswald comes set in the stretch. The 1-1 pitch to Reese. Reese lays off, and a beautiful breaking ball in there for a called strike, 2. 1-2 now the count to Herrera. On deck, Jackson Rainey. Should Herrera extend the inning? 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Runners at second and third. The 1-2 pitch to Herrera. And he'll foul it off down the first baseline. Off the netting. It'll stay on the field of play. The count remains 1 ball and 2 strikes to Herrera. The Eagles have put up 8 runs here in the top of the third on 2 hits, 4 errors. Six walks. The 1-2 pitch, a swing and a miss. It's in the dirt. Brown will have to throw down to first and does in time to retire Herrera and the Eagles here in the top of the third. But not before Georgetown picks up 8 runs on 2 hits, 4 errors, and 2 runners left on base. After 2.5 innings, Georgetown 9, Pflugerville 0. Eagle baseball continues in a moment. Third inning of Georgetown Eagle baseball is brought to you by Mahan Home and Commercial Services. Your service for all things roofing. We provide you with all the information you need to make a decision about your roof. The first line of defense against Mother Nature. A veteran-owned small business that believes in service with a purpose. Our mission is to service our residential neighbors and commercial community by providing the utmost quality materials and service. Our services include residential roofing, commercial roofing, ladder assist, and holiday lighting. Contact Jesse Mahan at 512-828-7800 or visit their website at mahanhcs.com. That's MAHANHCS.com. Mahan Home and Commercial Services, proud sponsors of First Responder Broadcasting and Georgetown Eagle Baseball. We go to the bottom of the third, and Riley Leininger comes on for his third inning of work through 2 innings. Leininger has allowed no hits, struck out 2, walked 1, hit 1 with a pitch. Has only thrown 27 pitches is what I have. They have 28 up on the board. And he comes out now instead of a 1-run lead. He comes out with a 9-run lead here in the bottom of the third inning as he will face off against the 8, 9, and 1 hitters, Galindo, Bradley, and Correa for the Panthers. The Eagles in that inning brought 13 batters to the plate before finally getting that third out. 4 big errors in the inning. And a rough go for it in the 2/3 innings by Galindo as he walked 4 batters. And now Galindo will step in to start the inning for the Pflugerville Panthers. Galindo steps in here from the right side. First pitch from Leininger, fouled off. Down the first baseline off the netting for strike 1. 0-1 the count to Galindo. Leininger from the windup, first base side of the rubber, the 0-1 pitch. In there for a called strike 2, 0-2 the count. Galindo steps back in for the right side. Leininger gets a sign from Herrera. The 0-2 pitch. In there, called strike 3. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. Galindo down on strikes looking for out number 1, the 3rd strikeout of the ball game for Riley Leininger. And that'll take us to the number 9 hitter, number 13, Aiden Bradley, the shortstop. He'll step in here with 1 out and the base is empty. Bradley 0 for 3 in the ball game on Tuesday night. Steps in here for the first time tonight from the right side. With that 3rd strikeout of the night, Leininger up to 23 strikeouts on the year. The first pitch to Bradley, fouled off back to the screen. 0-1 the count to Aiden Bradley. The 3rd baseman, Jose Correa, on deck for the Panthers here in the bottom of the 3rd. Leininger gets a sign from Herrera from the windup, the 0-1 pitch. Big breaking ball stays high for ball 1. 1-1 the count now to Bradley. The 1-1 pitch stays high, ball 2. 2-1 the count now to the shortstop, Aiden Bradley. The 2-1 pitch. That one's in there for a called strike. 2-2 now the count to Aiden Bradley with 1 out here in the bottom of the 3rd. 9 runs on 4 hits, no errors for the Eagles. No runs, no hits, 4 errors for the Panthers. The 2-2 pitch from Leininger just misses for ball 3, and the count goes full now. 3 balls and 2 strikes. The only 2 base runners for the Panthers tonight come on a base on balls and a hit by pitch. Here in the bottom of the 3rd. The payoff pitch from Leininger just misses low for ball 4. A 1-out walk. As Bradley down at first base. That'll take us to the top of the Panther lineup. Jose Correa, the 3rd baseman, steps in. 0 for 1 in the ball game as he lined out to Talon Ball at second base back in the 1st inning. He'll step in here with 1 out and a runner at first base in the bottom of the 3rd. Leininger moves to the stretch with a runner at first. Fluid holds on Bradley at first base. The first pitch to Correa. Check swing. Strike 1 called by the home plate umpire. 0-1 the count to Correa with Ethan Minjares on deck for the Panthers. Here in the bottom of the 3rd. Leininger comes set in the stretch. The 0-1 pitch. Big breaking ball stays high for ball 1. 1-1 the count to Jose Correa, the 3rd baseman. Bradley leads off first. The 1-1 pitch. Called strike 2. As Correa lays off of it, takes it for a called strike. 1 ball, 2 strikes to the leadoff man, Jose Correa, the 3rd baseman. Bradley, not a very big leadoff first base being held on by David Fluitt. Leininger comes set in the stretch. The 1-2 pitch. Down in the dirt. Herrera blocks it. He'll come up and throw down to second as Bradley tries to advance, and he does. So the wild pitch down in the dirt allows the base runner to advance. Count goes to 2-2 to Jose Correa. Bradley into scoring position now. So the chatter now picking up out of the first base dugout. 2-2 count to Correa with the runner at second. One out here in the bottom of the third. The 2-2 pitch. And Correa checks his swing, and the umpire says it's too high. Ball 3 now, the count. 3-2 to Correa with one out. Here in the bottom of the third. No runs on no hits for the Panthers through 2 1/3 inning. Correa back in, ready to go. Leininger gets a sign. The payoff pitch to Correa. Called strike 3. Beautiful strikeout there, looking for out number 2 to get Correa. 4th strikeout of the ball game for Leininger, and that'll bring up Ethan Minjares. He's 0 for 1 of the ball game. Struck out swinging back in the first inning. Steps in here with 2 outs and a runner at second. Panthers trail by 9. Minjares steps in from the left side. One of the 4 strikeout victims of Leininger through the first 2 2/3 innings. Minjares ready to go. Leininger comes set in the stretch. First pitch to Minjares. Misses inside for ball 1. 1-0 the count to Minjares. A 1-0 count to Ethan. The 1-0 pitch. That one's on the outside corner for a called strike. Minjares checked his swing, but the umpire aimed the strike anyway there on the called strike 1. 1-1 to count. 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 outs here in the bottom of the third. A runner at second base. Leininger a look. Now the 1-1 pitch. Outside corner, called strike 2. 1 ball and 2 strikes now to Minjares. Sun is now set. A beautiful night here at Pflugerville, Texas. We're in the bottom of the third. 9-0. Georgetown leads it. Leininger comes set in the stretch. A 1-2 pitch to Minjares. Just misses for ball 2. 2-2 the count. With Cole Taylor, the first baseman, on deck, should Minjares be able to extend this inning. The Eagles put up 8 runs in the top half of the third to take a 9-0 lead. Leininger works for the 3rd inning tonight. Here in his start for the Eagles. He comes set in the stretch. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs to Minjares with the runner at second base. The 2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. And the Panthers are down here in the bottom of the third. The 5th strikeout of the ballgame from Riley Leininger ends the inning for the Panthers. No runs on no hits, no errors, and 1 runner left on base. After 3 complete innings, Georgetown 9 runs, 4 hits, no errors. The Panthers, no runs, no hits, 4 errors. Eagle baseball continues in just a moment here on the SHN Sports Network. We go to the top of the 4th inning, and we'll have a pinch hitter here in the top of the 4th. Stepping in for the Eagles in the number 5 slot will be number 5, Tate Ritchie. He'll pinch hit for Jackson Rainey here in the top of the 4th. Jaden Oswalt on to work His second inning of relief for the Panthers. The first pitch to Tate Ritchie stays high for ball one. Tate Ritchie, the 5'7", 160-pound junior, bats right, throws right, steps in for the right side. The 1-0 pitch from Minjares. And Ritchie sends it into right center field. Minjares ranges over, and he can't make the catch. It's down for a base hit. Ritchie around first. He's headed second, and he'll slide in. And they will give an error on the board to Minjares in center field. The 5th error of the ball game for the Panthers. So that'll be an E8. It allows Ritchie to move up to second base as well. A big 2-base error there. And Luke Hawley will step in from the right side here. Hawley in the ball game, 0 for 1. Flew out to left field in the second inning. Walked and scored a run in the third. First pitch from Oswald. Misses outside for ball one. On deck, Andrew Nations for the Eagles. Want to know the count to Luke Hawley. Oswald comes set. A look back at second base. The 1-0 pitch. And Hawley gives it a high fly shot into center field. Shallow center field. The second baseman out. McGregor calls off, but it's off his glove. Down for another error, but no one can advance as Ritchie had to stay close. It wasn't that far behind the bag. So the 6th error of the ball game. But now 2 men aboard. E4 on that one. McGregor called off the center fielder, Minjares, but then couldn't make the catch. It's off his glove, and runners on first and second with no outs here. In the top of the 4th inning, Andrew Nations steps in for Georgetown. The first pitch from Oswald. Nations fouls it off on the third base side into the net. 0-1 the count to Andrew Nations. Nations so far in the ball game, 0 for 2. Reached on an error and scored a run in the third. Flew out to left field in the second inning. Oswald from the stretch comes set. The 0-1 pitch to Andrew. That one misses down in the dirt. But a good block by Colton Brown. Ritchie unable to advance. Remains at second base. 1-1 the count to Andrew Nations. No outs and runners at first and second. Ritchie led off the inning, pinch hitting for Jackson Rainey. Reached second base on an error by the center fielder, Minjares. And then Luke Hawley hits a high fly ball to shallow center field. Second baseman McGregor calls off Minjares and then drops it for another error. 6th of the ball game for the Panthers. Runners on first and second. 1-1 count to Andrew Nations. The 1-1 pitch. Nations lays off and takes it outside for ball 2. 2-1 the count. Oswald comes set in the stretch. The 2-1 pitch. And Andrew Nations hits it in. Oh, line drive to second base. McGregor makes the play, but unable to double up Hawley at second base. Good job there by McGregor. L4 in the book to retire Andrew Nations for the first out of the inning. Thought he had got it past him into right field. The first out there recorded by the line drive to McGregor. And now David Fluid will step in with 1 out and runners at first and second. Oswald comes set in the stretch. The first pitch to Fluid. And he'll check his swing and take it for ball 1. Want to know the count to Fluid. He's 0 for 1 of the ball game. Reached on a base on balls in the second inning. Reached on an error and scored a run in the third. Steps in here with 1 out. Runners on first and second. The 1-0 pitch from Oswald. Fouled off back to the screen. 1-1 now the count to David Fluid. First baseman on deck. Shortstop Jack Kiki. Oswald gets the sign and comes set. A look back at second base. The 1-1 pitch to Fluid. Stays outside. Ball 2. 2-1 the count now. to the Eagle first baseman, David Pflugerville. Two balls, one strike, one out. Here in the top of the fourth, the Eagles lead it by 9. Oswald comes set, the 2-1 pitch. Down in the dirt for ball 3. 3-1 the count now to David Pflugerville. The 3-1 pitch to Pflugerville, and he'll give it a charge into center field. Minhara's on his horse. He'll try to track it down and does at the fence. Tate Ritchie tags up. He's headed to third base, and he'll advance on the tag. Pflugerville gave it a charge, but unable to get it over the head of Minhara's. Nice play there by Minhara's. F8 in the book to retire Pflugerville for out number 2. Now runners at the corners for the Eagles with 2 outs. As Jack Kiki will step in, 1 for 2 in the ball game. Lined out to center field in his first at-bat. Doubled and scored a run in the 3rd inning. Steps in here with 2 outs and runners on the corners. Taylor will hold on Holly at first base. The first pitch to Kiki. Breaking pitch, catches the outside corner for a called strike 1. Kiki ready to go. The 0-1 pitch. That one's too far outside. 1-1 the count now to the shortstop, Jack Kiki. Devin Peterson on deck. Should Kiki be able to extend the inning? 1-1 count with 2 outs here in the top of the 4th. Runners on first and second base. 2 more errors in the inning by the Panther defense. 6 in the ball game now. Kiki ready to go. The 1-1 pitch. Kiki is swing and a miss on that breaking pitch. 1 ball and 2 strikes now. In the 3rd inning, the Eagles had 8 runs on 2 hits, 4 errors, and 2 runners left on. In 2/3 innings of relief, Oswald threw 48 pitches in the 3rd inning. As he works here in the 4th, the 1-2 pitch to Kiki stays high for ball 2, and the count goes even now. 2 balls and 2 strikes to the shortstop, Jack Kiki. Georgetown would love to put at least 1 more on the board and make it a run rule situation into the 5th inning if possible. Holly leads off first. Tate Ritchie off third. The 2-2 pitch stays high through the zone for ball 3. Full count out of Jack Kiki with 2 outs. Holly will be off and running from first base. Ritchie leads off third base. Taylor holds on Holly at first base as Oswald comes set in the stretch. The 3-2 pitch. Outside, ball 4. A 2-out walk loads them up for the Eagles here in the top of the 4th. The 5th walk issued by Oswald in the ball game. Brings up Devin Peterson. 2 outs, bases loaded here in the top of the 4th. Tate Ritchie at third, Luke Holly at second. Jack Kiki down at first base, and Devin Peterson steps in. He's 0 for 1 of the ball game. A strikeout in the first. 2 walks with a run scored in the 3rd. The first pitch to Peterson. He'll lay off and take it for a called strike. 0-1 the count. 2 plate appearances in the 3rd inning for Peterson. Both drew 2 walks in the inning. Steps in here with an 0-1 count and 2 outs. The 0-1 pitch. Breaking pitch, called strike 2. 0-2 the count now to Devin Peterson. The base is loaded with 2 outs here in the top of the 4th. Eagles threatening again in the inning. 1 run in the first, 8 in the 3rd. The base is loaded with 2 outs here in the 4th. Oswald comes set in the stretch. The 0-2 pitch to Peterson. And he hits it to left field. Carrillo ranges over, and Carrillo will make the catch for out number 3. F7 in the book, retire Peterson and the Eagles here in the top of the 4th. No runs on no hits, 2 errors, and 3 runners left on base. After 3.5 innings, Georgetown 9, Pflugerville 4. Eagles baseball continues in just a moment. we go to the bottom of the fourth inning. The 3, 4, and 5 hitters due up for the Pflugerville Panthers. Cole Taylor, Colton Brown, Diego Mora. As Riley Leininger on for his fourth inning of work. First pitch to Cole Taylor. Fouled off back towards the backstop. First strike one, 0-1 to count. Taylor 0 for 0 in the ballgame. Drew a walk back in the first inning. Was cut down on a pickoff. He got picked off at first base by Leininger. Defensively for the Eagles, Tate Ritchie goes in for Jackson Rainey after the pinch hit and moves in defensively to right field for Georgetown. Leininger from the windup, the 0-1 pitch. Breaking pitch misses for ball one. 1-1 to count to Cole Taylor. 9-0. Georgetown leads at 9 runs, 4 hits, no errors for Georgetown. No runs, no hits, 6 errors for the Panthers. The 1-1 pitch, a swing and a miss by Taylor. Now the count, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Leininger through 3 innings has struck out 5, walked 2, hit 1 wild pitch, and has thrown 47 pitches. The 1-2 pitch. Foul tip into the glove of Herrera for strike 3. 6 strike out of the ball game for Riley Leininger. And that'll bring up the number 4 hitter, the catcher, Colton Brown. He reached on a hit by pitch back in the second inning. 0 for 0 in the ball game as he steps in here with 1 out and the base is empty. In the bottom of the 4th, the first pitch from Leininger. Inside corner. Nope, misses for ball 1. A little too far inside. Nice spot there, but 1-0 the count to Colton Brown. Leininger from the windup, the 1-0 pitch. That one misses for ball 2. 2-0 the count. Diego Mora, the DH on deck. Leininger, the 2-0 pitch. That one's fouled off down the first baseline. Out of play. The count goes to 2-1 now to Colton Brown. The 2-1 pitch misses just low for ball 3. 3-1 the count now to the catcher Colton Brown. Here in the bottom of the 4th for the Panthers. Trying to dig out of this 9-run deficit. The 3-1 pitch in there. Called strike 2. So a full count now to the catcher, Colton Brown. Brown back in from the right side. Leininger wastes no time. Gets a sign from Herrera. The payoff pitch. Ball fouled off down the first baseline into the first base dugout. And Colton Brown stays alive in the at-bat. 3 balls and 2 strikes. 1 out and the base is empty here in the bottom of the 4th. Leininger gets the sign. Colton Brown waits at home plate. The 3-2 pitch. And another hit by pitch as that one hits Colton Brown in the back. Second time he's been hit by the pitch. So down to first base, a 1-out base runner. And Diego Mora, the DH, will step in. He's 0 for 0 in the ballgame. Leading on a sac bunt back in the second inning. 6-3 on the putout by Luke Holly. And he'll step in here from the left side with 1 out and a runner at first base. See if he'll lay down a bunt here. Holly bound even with the bag at third base. Leininger comes set. The first pitch to Mora. Swing and a miss. Strike 1. So definitely not going to lay down the bunt here. Mora swinging away. Fluid will hold on. Colton Brown at first base as he leads off there. Leininger comes set in the stretch. The 0-1 pitch to Mora. Just misses for ball 1. 1-1 to count. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out. Runner at first base. Brown leads off first. Fluid holds him on. Mora ready to go. Leininger comes set in the stretch. The 1-1 pitch. Misses outside. Ball 2. 2-1 the count now to the DH, Diego Mora, with Jordan McGregor, the second baseman, on deck for the Panthers here in the bottom of the 4th. Leininger comes set. The 2-1 pitch. Fouled off back to the screen. The count goes even now. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Diego Mora, the DH. Leininger a long look in. Now will come set in the stretch. The 2-2 pitch to Mora. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. 7th strikeout of the ball game for Leininger. Second out of the inning for the Panthers. And that'll bring up the second baseman, Jordan McGregor. He's 0 for 1 in the ball game. He popped out to the first baseman fluid in foul territory back in the second inning. So he steps in here with a runner at first and 2 outs in the bottom of the fourth. Brown leads off first. Fluid holds him on. McGregor in from the right side, ready to go. Leininger comes set in the stretch. First pitch in there for a called strike. 0-1 the count to McGregor. 7 strikeouts in the ballgame so far for Leininger. 2 walks, 2 hit by pitch, a wild pitch, and his 3+ innings of work. Still yet to yield a hit to the Panthers. Brown leads off first. Leininger comes set in the stretch. The 0-1 pitch. Pop fly back out of play. 0-2 now the count. Leininger way ahead of the second baseman, Jordan McGregor. No balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, a runner at first. McGregor back in from the right side. Leininger gets the sign from Herrera, comes set in the stretch. The 0-2 pitch. And a line drive slash foul down the first baseline. And McGregor stays alive in the at-bat. No balls and 2 strikes. McGregor back in from the right side, ready to go. Colton Brown leads off. Fluid holds him on at first. Leininger set from the stretch. The 0-2 pitch. Breaking pitch just misses outside for ball 1. Good spot there on the 0-2. Now a 1-2 count to McGregor. Leininger comes set. The 1-2 pitch. Fouled off, back to the net. McGregor staying alive in the at-bat. 1 ball and 2 strikes. McGregor. Decently to first. The 1-2 pitch. A ground ball hit up the middle. Leininger fields it himself, and he'll pitch it over to Fluid at first base, and the Panthers are down here in the bottom of the 4th. No runs on no hits. And no errors and 1 runner left on base. After 4 complete, Georgetown 9, Pflugerville nothing. Eagle baseball continues in a moment. Jenny Mahan of Caldwell Banker Realty, a proud sponsor of First Responder Broadcasting at Georgetown Eagle Baseball, brings you 5th inning action tonight here in Georgetown Baseball. A licensed real estate agent since 2016, Jenny is a family-first person that gives all she has to her family. Jenny takes that same love of family and delivers that to her clients from the start. Jenny's happy to help anyone looking to buy or sell a house, farm, or ranch. Let Jenny help you. Contact Jenny at 817-404-9203. or email her at jenny.mahan@cbunited.com. We go to the top of the 5th inning, and Oswald on to work his 3rd inning of relief for the Panthers as they trail it 9-0. Georgetown would love to put 1 more run on the board here and put themselves in the run rule situation here in the 5th inning. And they will bring up to the plate the 2, 3, and 4 hitters, Talibal, Riley Leininger, and Reese Herrera to face Oswald here in the top of the 5th inning. Oswald, in 2 innings of work, has thrown 70, or 2 2/3 innings, or an inning and 2/3 of work. He has thrown 70 pitches. He has allowed 6 runs on 1 hit, 5 walks, 1 wild pitch, and the Panthers in that time have committed 4 errors. And so Talibal will step in. He is 1 for 2 on the ball game. He's walked and scored a run, reached on an error, and tripled and scored a run in the first. The first pitch in there for a called strike. 0-1 to count. Here to Talibal leading off the top of the 5th inning for the Eagles. 9 runs, 4 hits, no errors for the Eagles. No runs, no hits, 6 errors for the Panthers as Oswald comes set in the stretch. The 0-1 pitch to Talon. Breaking pitch, Talibal pops it up right side. The right fielder Galindo charges in and will make the catch for out number 1. F9 in the book to retire Talibal here in the top of the 5th, and that'll bring up Riley Leininger. Leininger is 2 for 2 in the ballgame. An RBI single in the first and a 2-run home run in the third before being walked in his second plate appearance in the third inning. Steps in here with 1 out and the base is empty for Georgetown. Leininger from the left side steps in, ready to go. Oswald comes set in the stretch. The first pitch to Leininger. That one stays high through the zone for ball 1. 1-0 the count. Reese Herrera, the catcher, on deck for Georgetown. The 1-0 pitch to Leininger. He'll lay off and take it on the outside corner for a called strike. 1-1 now the count. Oswald comes set in the stretch. The 1-1 pitch to Riley. Stays up and away. Ball 2. 2-1 now the count. One out and the base is empty here in the top of the fifth. The 2-1 pitch from Oswald. That one bounces in about 3 feet short of the plate for ball 3. 3-1 now the count to Riley Leininger. Reese Herrera waits on deck. Oswald gets a sign from Brown, comes set in the stretch. The 3-1 pitch to Leininger. And that one's high through the zone. Ball 4, a 1-out walk. Put Leininger down to first base. 6th walk by Oswald. And now Reese Herrera will step in with 1 out and a runner at first. Herrera 0 for 2 in the ball game. Struck out in the first looking. Walked in the third in his first plate appearance. Struck out on a drop third strike. Thrown out at first base in the second plate appearance of the third inning. First pitch misses for ball 1 to Herrera. 1-0 the count. Since the start of the ball game, the temperature has dropped a beautiful 12 degrees. A little chilly here tonight. The 0-1 pitch, or 1-0 pitch to Herrera. A swing and a miss. Evens out the count. 1 ball and 1 strike now. Leininger runs for himself down at first base. Leads off there, being held on by the first baseman, Cole Taylor. Oswald comes set in the stretch. The 1-1 pitch to Herrera. Herrera, fly ball left side of the infield into shallow left field, the shortstop. Aiden Bradley drifts back about 10 feet into the outfield and makes the catch for out number 2. F6 in the book to retire Herrera as Leininger retreats back to first base. And in steps number 5, Tate Ritchie. Came on in the 4th inning to bat and stayed in defensively in right field. Reached on an error back in the 4th inning. We'll step in here with 2 outs and a runner at first base. Ritchie from the right side. Readies himself as Oswald works from the stretch. Gets the sign from the catcher Brown and comes set in the stretch. The first pitch to Ritchie. Stays up and away. Ball 1. The 1-0 pitch from Oswald to Tate Ritchie. Stays high, ball 2. 2-0 the count now. To the junior right fielder, Tate Ritchie. Leininger down at first after a 1-out walk. Oswald comes set, the 2-0 pitch. That one's high and inside, ball 3. 3-0 the count now. To Tate Ritchie, Luke Colley, the third baseman, is on deck for the Eagles. Should Ritchie be able to extend the inning, reach base? Oswald comes set, the 3-0 pitch. That one's low and inside, gets away. Leininger hurries down to second. He'll circle the bag and look, but he'll stay put there at second base. Now 2 runners on with 2 outs. 7th walk issued by Oswald, and that'll bring Coach Wagner out of the dugout on the first base side for the Panthers. Headed to the mound. We'll take a quick timeout. Eagle baseball continues in a moment. And the Panthers go to the bullpen. They'll bring in number 4, Garrett Holmes, with 2 outs. Here in the top of the 5th, 2 runners aboard. Leininger down at second, Tate Ritchie at first base. Holmes will come in to face Holly. Here in the Eagle lineup, the first pitch from Holmes. That one gets away from the catcher. Is it weird? Like his cleats kind of weird on the mound. And so that wild pitch allows both runners to advance. Leininger up to third base. Ritchie up to second. Ball 1 to Luke Holly. Holly in the ball game 0 for 2. Flew out in the second, walked and scored a run in the third, and then reached on an error in the fourth. 1-0 count. Garrett Holmes, a right-handed pitcher, works from the stretch. From the first base side of the rubber, comes set in the stretch. The 1-0 pitch to Holly. Outside corner, called strike 1. One and 1 to count. To Luke Holly with 2 outs and runners at second and third. The 1-1 pitch to Holly. That breaking pitch misses low for ball 2. 2-1 to count. Two and 1 to count to Luke Holly. 2 outs. Leininger off third. Tate Ritchie off second. The third pitcher of the ball game now in for the Panthers, and Garrett Holmes, the righty, comes set in the stretch. The 2-1 pitch. Outside corner, called strike 2. 2-2 now the count to Holly. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs here in the top of the 5th. 9-0. Georgetown leads it over Pflugerville. Holly settles back in for the right side. Holmes comes set. The 2-2 pitch. That one stays up and away. Ball 3 and a full count now to Luke Holly. Andrew Nations waits on deck. Should Holly extend the inning? 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs here in the top of the 5th. Holmes gets a sign from Colton Brown, comes set in the stretch. The payoff pitch to Holly. A swing and a miss, strike 3. For out number 3, and the Eagles are down here in the top of the 5th inning. No runs on no hits, no errors, and 2 runners left on base. After 4.5 innings, Georgetown 9, Pflugerville nothing. Eagle baseball continues in just a moment. To the bottom of the 5th inning here at Pflugerville High School. Riley Leininger stays on the mound for his 5th inning of work. Through 4 innings. He's allowed no hits. Struck out 7, walked 2, hit 2 with a pitch. First pitch to Carrillo is there. Called strike 1. 0-1 the count to Carrillo. Carrillo on the night, 0 for 1. This one misses. 2 strikes. Foul tip. I looked away. I apologize. 0-2 the count to Carrillo. Leading off things here in the bottom of the 5th. Carrillo struck out looking back at the 2nd inning. Leininger from the windup. The 0-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Carrillo down on 3 pitches for strikeout number 8 in the ballgame by Riley Leininger. That'll bring up number 11, Darian Galindo, the right fielder. He's 0 for 1 as he struck out looking back in the 3rd inning. Steps in here with 1 out, and the base is empty. Leininger from the windup, the first pitch to Galindo. Ball struck down the first baseline, and it lands fair on the line. It's down the right field line. Galindo circles first. He's headed to second base, and it's the first hit of the ballgame for the Panthers. It's a one-out double. The first hit that Leininger has surrendered in district in the 2 games he's been on the mound. A nice piece of hitting there as Galindo was behind on it, but hit it fair on the line in right field. So a one-out double brings up Aiden Bradley, who's 0 for 0 in the ball game. He walked back in the 3rd inning, advanced on a wild pitch, was left stranded there. Steps in here with 1 out and a runner at second base. Leininger moves to the stretch, comes set. A look back at second base. The first pitch to Bradley. Nope. He'll turn and look towards second base. No throw. Leininger comes set. The first pitch to Bradley. Off the glove of Herrera to the backstop. Galindo advances to third base on the pass ball. And now, a 1-0 count to Bradley. With a runner at third and 1 out here in the bottom of the 5th. The Panthers' first base runner to get to third base in the ball game. Here in the bottom of the 5th with 1 out. A 1-0 count to Bradley, the number 9 hitter for the Panthers. The 1-0 pitch. Ground ball. Hit out to first base. Fluid will field it. He'll pitch to Leininger cover. It's going to be an RBI ground out for Aiden Bradley. Scores the first run of the ball game for the Panthers. 3-1 on the putout to retire Aiden Bradley for out number 2. And that'll bring up Jose Correa, the leadoff man. An RBI there for Aiden Bradley. Gets the first run across for the Panthers. First pitch is a ball. 1-0 the count to Correa with 2 outs. Leininger from the windup. The 1-0 pitch. That one misses low and outside. Ball 2. Leininger gets the sign. The 2-0 pitch to Correa. Fouled off, back to the screen. 2-1 now the count to the third baseman, Jose Correa. He's 0 for 2 in the ball game. A line out in the first, a strikeouts looking in the third. Steps in here with 2 outs and the base is empty. The 2-1 pitch from Riley. And a line drive hit into right field. Tate Ritchie will get over and make the catch for out number 3. L9 in the book to retire Correa and the Panthers, but not before they pick up a run on 1 hit, no errors. And nobody left on base. After 5 complete, Georgetown 9, Pflugerville 1. Eagle baseball continues in just a moment. Go to the top of the 6th inning. Andrew Nations will lead it off for the Georgetown Eagles. Nations, Fluid, and Kiki do up here in the top of the 6th. The 7, 8, 9 hitters. They'll face off against Garrett Holmes on for his 2nd inning of work and relief for the Panthers here. The 3rd pitcher of record for the Panthers. First pitch to Nations. Hits Nations in the back. You hear the squills in the background. So 1 pitch and a base runner for the Eagles here in the top of the 6th inning. First batter hit by a pitch tonight for Pflugerville. And in steps David Fluett. He's 0 for 2 in the ball game. Walked in the 2nd. Reached on an error and scored a run in the 3rd and flew out to center in the 4th. Steps in here with no outs and a runner at first. Nation's a big lead at first, held on by Taylor. Holmes comes set in the stretch. Throw over to first base. Nations dives back in easily for over at first base. Andrew would double check it. 9 stolen bases on the year. Leads off first. The first pitch to Fluett. Stays outside for ball 1. 1-0 the count. To the first baseman, David Fluett. Jack Kiki, the shortstop, on deck for Georgetown. Here in the top of the 6th. 9 runs, 4 hits, no errors for Georgetown. 1 run, 1 hit, 6 errors for the Panthers. Nations leads off. Taylor holding him on. Holmes wanted Brown to go through the signs. Now gets the signal and comes set in the stretch. Now he'll step off and reset himself. Fluett back in from the left side. Holmes comes set in the stretch. A 1-0 pitch to Fluett. Fluett will give it a ride out to left field. Carrillo, a long run. And he'll settle under it, make the catch for out number 1. F7 in the book to retire Fluett for the first out of the inning. And that'll bring up the shortstop, Jack Kiki. He's 1 for 2 in the ball game. Lined out to center in the 2nd. Doubled and scored a run in the 3rd. Reached on a base on balls in the 4th inning. Steps in here with 1 out and a runner at first in the 6th. Kiki from the right side steps in, ready to go. Holmes gets the sign. He'll come set in the stretch. First pitch to Kiki. He's in there for a called strike. 0-1 the count. Devin Peterson on deck for the Eagles. Here in the top of the 6th. Nation's a good-sized lead at first base. Cole Taylor holds him on there. Holmes comes set, the 0-1 pitch. That breaking pitch stays high for ball 1. 1-1 the count. Jaden Oswalt, 2 1/3 innings pitched through 84 pitches. Gave up 6 runs, 1 hit, walked 7. 1 wild pitch in relief. Garrett Holmes comes set, the 1-1 pitch to Kiki. Kiki pop fly back out of play. And the count 1 ball and 2 strikes now. One ball, 2 strikes, 1 out. Runner at first base. Devin Peterson on deck for Georgetown. Kiki, the number 9 hitter, the shortstop, back in from the right side. Garrett Holmes, a long look in, gets the sign and comes set in the stretch. The 1-2 pitch. Kiki hits it out towards short. Hard hopper. Can't be handled by the shortstop. It's into left center field. Nation's running hard. Circles second. Heads to third base, and he'll be in safely. And that'll allow Kiki to move into second base. Another error by the Panthers. Has been at second and third base. 7th error of the ball game for the Panthers. So Kiki reaches on the error, moves up to second base. Andrew Nation's running hard on the crack of the bat all the way around to third. So now 2 runners in scoring position for Devin Peterson. 0 for 2 in the ball game with 2 walks and a run scored. First pitch, misses low and inside, ball 1. Love a base hit here to score a couple of runs and get that 10-run advantage going and try to hold the Panthers in the bottom of the inning and call it a game. Peterson back in for the right side. 1 ball, no strikes, 1 out. The runners at second and third. The 1-0 pitch from Holmes stays high. 2-0 the count. Nation's off third. Kiki off second. Holmes comes set. The 2-0 pitch to Devin Peterson. Misses low and away. Ball 3. 3-0 the count. With Talon Ball on deck for Georgetown. Here in the top of the 6th. 9 runs on 4 hits, no errors. 1 run, 1 hit, 7 errors for the Panthers. Holmes gets the sign and comes set in the stretch. The 3-0 pitch to Peterson. Stays up and in. Ball 4. A 4-pitch walk. Has the bases loaded for Georgetown here in the top of the 6th inning. The first walk issued by Garrett Holmes. And Talon Ball will come up here with the bases loaded and 1 out. Talon Ball, a triple in the first, walked and scored a run in the third, reached on an error in his second plate appearance in the third, and then flew out to right field in the fifth. Steps in here with 1 out. The bases loaded. First pitch misses low and outside. Ball 1. Panthers defense has the corners in. Middle infield, a double play dead. With 1 out, the bases loaded. Talon Ball back in for the right side. Garrett Holmes gets the sign, comes set in the stretch. The 1-0 pitch. Top part of the zone for a called strike. 1-1 to count. One ball, 1 strike, 1 out. Ball back in for the right side. Holmes comes set. The 1-1 pitch. That one outside away for ball 2. 2-1 to count. Nowhere to put Talon here, so you got to go after him with the 2-1 count and 1 out. And the bases loaded. Nation's off third. Kiki off second. Peterson off first. Holmes comes set. The 2-1 pitch. Outside, ball 3. On deck, the pitcher, Riley Leininger. 3 balls and 1 strikes to Talon Ball, the second baseman. Garrett Holmes comes set in the stretch. The 3-1 pitch. And Talon fouls it off to the backstop. Full count now. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Three balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. Bases loaded, full of Eagles. Holmes comes set. The payoff pitch to Talon Ball. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Talon Ball down for 2 outs now, the second out of the inning. And that'll bring up Riley Leininger, the second strikeout for Garrett Holmes. In relief, and now Leininger will step in from the left side with 2 outs and the bases loaded. Perfect opportunity here for Leininger to help himself out. Base hit will play at least 1, if not 2 runs. Leininger with a single and a single RBI single in the first, 2-run home run in the third. And gives this one a charge to right field, but it is going to be caught by the right fielder Galindo for out number 3. F9 of the book to retire Leininger and the Eagles here in the 6th inning. No runs on no hits, 1 error, and 3 runners left on after 5.5. Georgetown 9, Pflugerville 1. Eagle baseball continues in a moment. The bottom of the 6th inning, Georgetown brings out A new pitcher, number 1, Cooper Ashby. He's a 6'4", 165-pound senior, throws right-handed. He'll come into the ball game in relief here in the bottom of the 6th inning. In 5 innings of work, Riley Leininger threw 79 pitches, allowed 1 run on 1 hit, struck out 8, walked 2, hit 2 batters, and 1 wild pitch. And he leaves as the winning pitcher of record. Should the Eagles hold on? Ashby comes into the ball game, 6 2/3 innings thrown on the year. He's appeared in 5 games, 0-1 on his record. He's allowed 6 hits, 7 runs, 6 earned, 6.3 ERA. He struck out 5, walked 7, hit 2. Batting average against is at 240. His first pitch to Minharas is in there for a called strike. He'll face off against the 2, 3, and 4 hitters for the Panthers here in the bottom of the 6th. Minharas, Taylor, and Brown. First pitch strike from the windup, the 0-1 pitch. And a swing and a miss, strike 2. Ashby works from the first base side of the rubber. Minharas, the lefty, steps back in with an 0-2 count to lead off the bottom of the 6th. Ashby ready to go. Gets the sign from Herrera, the 0-2 pitch to Minharas. Down and away for ball 1, 1-2 the count. One and 2 the count to Minharas here in the bottom of the 6th. Now Minharas is going to take a time and step out and reset. Cooper Ashby, the 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Minharas down on strikes for the first out of the inning. First strikeout for Ashby on his relief appearance. And now steps in the first baseman, Cole Taylor. He's 0 for 1 in the ballgame. Walked back in the first inning, was picked off by Leininger, and then struck out in the 4th inning. Steps in here with 1 out, and the base is empty. The righty steps in, ready to go. Ashby from the wind-up, the first pitch to Taylor. Misses low and away for ball 1. Get used to hearing this name for the Pflugerville Panthers, Cole Taylor. Just a sophomore and a big boy. He'll be around for a while. The 1-0 pitch, ground ball hit up the middle, high bounce. Tough play there for Kiki. Keeps it in front of him to keep it going into center field. That one took off the dirt and took a super high hop. We'll see what they recorded here at home. They give it an infield hit or they are going to give it a hit. That'll be the second hit of the ball game for the Panthers. And Cole Taylor down at first base. With 1 out of a base runner at first base, and in steps the catcher Colton Brown. He's been hit by 2 pitches on the ball game. Steps in here from the right side. Ashby now from the stretch. Works from the first base side. First pitch to Brown. Ground ball pulled towards the third base dugout foul. 0-1 the count to the catcher Brown. On deck, Diego Mora, the DH for the Panthers. Here in the bottom of the 6th, trailing by 8, 9-1. Ashby comes set in the stretch. Taylor not a big lead off first, held on by Fluid. The 0-1 pitch to Brown. Misses low and away for ball 1. 1-1 the count now. A 1-1 the count with 1 out and a runner at first. The 1-1 pitch. Misses away, ball 2. 2-1 the count now. Colton Brown, the catcher. Diego Moore, the DH on deck for the Panthers. Here in the bottom of the 6th inning. 9 runs on 4 hits for the Eagles with no errors. 1 run on 2 hits, 7 errors for the Panthers. The 2-1 pitch to Brown. Fouled off. Back towards the third base dugout. 2-2 now the count to the catcher Brown. Cooper comes set in the stretch. The 2-2 pitch to Brown. Fouled off back to the screen. Stays alive in the at-bat. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Two balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. Colton Brown, the catcher, back in from the right side. Taylor, a 1-out single down at first, held on by Fluid. Cooper Ashby in relief, comes set in the stretch. The 2-2 pitch. Misses outside, ball 3. Count goes full now to Colton Brown, the catcher. The number 4 hitter in the Panther lineup. 3-2 pitch, pulled foul down the third baseline by Brown. Stays alive in the at-bat. Nice at-bat here for Brown. Next pitch will be the 8th of the at-bat for the catcher. Three balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. Runner at first base. Second hit of the ball game. Cole Taylor, his first hit. The second hit for the Panthers down at first base. Fluid will hold him on there. Ashby will come set in the stretch. The payoff pitch just misses for ball 4. And a 1-out walk has runners at first and second now for the Panthers. Here, Coach Vieira chirping out of the dugout as well. Thought that was a strike as well. Called ball 4, and now Diego Moore, the DH, comes up. He's 0 for 2 in the 0 for 1 in the ball game. A sacrifice bunt in the second. Struck out swinging in the 4th. Steps in here with runners on first and second and 1 out. Ashby comes set. The first pitch to Mora. Takes it for ball 1. Looked a lot like the last pitch. This one called a strike. 0-1 the count to Mora. Cooper comes set. The 0-1 pitch to Mora. Misses outside for ball 1. 1-1 the count. Taylor off first, Brown off second. Ashby comes set. The 1-1 pitch to Mora. Misses outside, ball 2. 2-1 the count now to the DH, Diego Mora. On deck, the second baseman, Jordan McGregor, for the Panthers here in the bottom of the 6th. Ashby comes set. The 2-1 pitch. That misses low for ball 3. 3-1 now the count. Three balls and 1 strike with 2 runners aboard here in the bottom of the 5th, or bottom of the 6th inning. 9-1, Georgetown leads it by 8 over Pflugerville. Cooper Ashby comes set. The 3-1 pitch. It's in there for a called strike. The count goes full now. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Diego Moore, the DH. Hitting in the 5 hole for the Panthers tonight. Moore back in from the left side. Ashby a long look in, gets a sign and comes set in the stretch. The payoff pitch to Moore. Line drive hit out into right field. Tate Ritchie backs up, makes the catch for out number 2. And unable to tag is Cole Taylor at second base. And he just gets back in. Nice play by Tate Ritchie in right field. L9 in the book to retire Moore for the second out. And that'll bring up Jordan McGregor with runners on first and second and 2 outs here in the bottom of the 6th. McGregor in the ball game 0 for 2. Popped out to the Fluid in foul territory at first base in the second inning, and then grounded out to the pitcher, Leiniger, in the 4th inning. Steps in here with 2 outs and runners on first and second. The first pitch from Ashby in there for a called strike. 0-1 the count to Jordan McGregor. Christian Carrillo, the left fielder, waits on deck. Should McGregor be able to extend this one for the Panthers here in the bottom of the 6th. 0-1 the count to McGregor. Ashby comes set in the stretch. The 0-1 pitch. Breaking pitch. Catches the outside corner for called strike 2. 0-2 the count now. Ashby set now in the stretch. The 0-2 pitch. Ground ball chopped at home plate. Ashby will field it to the right side of the mound. The throw to first base. Can't get it is Fluid. It's off his glove. And now they're going to get some runners in a rundown. Fluid throws down to second. You're going to have 2 runners over at third base. And now the throw to home plate. Herrera will tag Cole Taylor, and they're going to say he's safe, that he stepped on the plate. And so after Coach Vieira quickly comes out and calls time, he'll go out to the mound to visit. We'll take a quick timeout. Eagle Baseball continues in just a moment. Back to action here. We've got a pinch hitter for the Pflugerville Panthers. It'll be number 19. Sean Alvarado comes into bat for Christian Carrillo. Here in the bottom of the sixth, the runners on second and third. The first pitch misses low for ball one. So a pinch hitter here for the Panthers. 1-0 the count to Alvarado. 1-0 pitch, fouled off back to the screen. 1-1 the count now. Jordan McGregor down at second base as he reached on the air. Give it to the pitcher, Ashby, on the throw to first base. The 1-1 pitch. Alvarado takes it for a called strike two. 1 ball, 2 strikes the count now to McGregor, or to Alvarado with 2 outs here in the bottom of the sixth. 2 runs across as they called Cole Taylor safe at home plate. Colton Brown moved up to third base. 1-2 pitch, called strike 3. Alvarado goes down looking for out number 3. Here in the bottom of the sixth, but not before the Panthers pick up 1 run on no hits, 1 error, and 2 runners left on base. After 6 complete, Georgetown 9, Pflugerville 2. Eagle baseball continues in just a moment. And we go to the top of the 7th inning. On to pinch hit in the number 4 slot for Reese Herrera will be number 7. That's Hayden Grooms. Hayden Grooms, the 5'10", 180-pound junior, bats right, steps in from the right side to lead things off against Garrett Holmes here in the top of the 7th. First pitch, and fouled off back to the screen. Strike 1 to Hayden Grooms. Garrett Holmes home in his 3rd inning of relief work. He's thrown an inning into 3rd as he steps in here to lead off the top of the 7th, pitching for the Panthers. Hayden Grooms back in the box from the right side. Holmes a long look in, comes set from the stretch. The 0-1 pitch to Grooms misses for ball 1. 1-1 the count. Several pinch hitters will come up here in the 7th for the Eagles. The 1-1 pitch to Grooms stays high for ball 2. 2-1 the count now to the pinch hitter, Hayden Grooms. The 2-1 pitch. Misses low and away for ball 3. 3-1 the count now to Grooms. Tate Ritchie is on deck. He'll stay in the 5-hole as he came on as a sub in the 4th inning for Jackson Rainey. 3 balls and 1 strikes to Hayden Grooms. As he leads off the top of the 7th here for the Eagles. The 3-1 pitch, low and inside, ball 4, leadoff walk for the Eagles here in the top of the 7th. Grooms down to first base. The second walk issued by Garrett Holmes as Tate Ritchie will come up to bat. Here with no outs and a runner at first. Ritchie in the ball game. Reached on an error in the 4th and was walked and left stranded in the 5th. 0 for 1 in the ball game. Tate back in from the right side. Grooms leads off first, held on by Taylor. Holmes comes set on the mound. The first pitch to Ritchie. And Ritchie fly ball down the right field line. Cole Taylor gives chase and makes the catch in foul territory for out number 1. P3 in the book to retire Tate Ritchie. And in steps Luke Holly, the third baseman. On deck for the Eagles. Reese Seaman in the on-deck slot now. Looks to pinch hit for Andrew Nations. First pitch to Holly misses low for ball 1. 1 ball, no strikes to Holly. He's 0 for 3 in the ball game with a walk and a run scored. Holly back in for the right side. Grooms leads off first. The 1-0 pitch. It's in there for a called strike. Count evens up 1 ball and 1 strike now to the third baseman, Luke Holly. Holmes comes set. The 1-1 pitch to Luke Holly. Stays up for ball 2. 2-1 now the count. Grooms leads off first. Cole Taylor holds him on as Holmes comes set. The 2-1 pitch to Luke. It's in there for a called strike as Holly checks his swing. 2-2 now the count to the third baseman. The 2-2 pitch. Holly pops it up right side of the infield into foul territory. Cole Taylor on a long run gives chase and makes the catch sliding down. What a play there by Cole Taylor. So told you, used to hear that day. P3 in the book into foul territory for out number 2. An athletic first baseman there. Big kid for a sophomore. Makes a great play in foul territory for out number 2. To retire Luke Holly, and in steps number 13. That is Reese Seaman. He's the 5'10", 170-pound junior. Bats left. Steps in here. Where's number 13? To pinch hit in the number 7 slot for Andrew Nations. The first pitch from Holmes is low and inside. Gets away from the catcher, Brown. Hayden Grooms will quickly scoot up to second base into scoring position. 1-0 the count to Reese. Good job there of watching the play at home by Grooms. He moves up. Give a wild pitch there on that advance. Second one by Holmes. A 1-0 count to Reese Seaman. 2 outs and a runner at second base. The 1-0 pitch. Reese lays off and takes it high for ball 2. 2-0 the count. With David Fluid on deck, should Reese be able to extend the inning here in his pinch hit role for the Eagles? The 2-0 pitch. Outside corner, called strike 1. 2-1 the count to the pinch hitter, Reese Seaman. The 2-1 pitch. Pop fly left side of the infield. Short, shallow left field. The shortstop, Bradley, ranges over and makes the catch for out number 3. P6 in the book to retire Seaman and the Eagles here in the top of the 7th inning. No runs on no hits, no errors, and 1 runner left on base. After 6.5, Georgetown 9, Pflugerville 2. Eagle baseball will continue here in a minute on the SHN Sports Network. And we go to the bottom of the 7th. Luke Colley on the mound for the Eagles here in the bottom of the 7th. Cord Lawrence into second base. Defensively for the Eagles, Talon Ball moves to third base in place of Holly that's now on the mound. First pitch from Holly in there for a called strike. Number 11, Darian Galindo, up to bat. Takes the first pitch for a strike. Second, 0-1 pitch in there for a called strike, 0-2 the count. Galindo, 1 for 2 in the ball game. A double and a run scored back in the 5th inning. The 0-2 pitch misses low, ball 1. 1-2 the count. The 1-2 pitch from Holly. Line drive down the right field line. Just foul. It's exactly what Galindo did the first time. Put it down the line for a double. But now 1 ball and 2 strikes remains the count. Holly works out of the windup from the first base side of the rubber. The 1-2 pitch. Down away for ball 2. 2-2 the count now. To Darian Galindo. The 8-9-1 hitters due up. Bradley and Correa due up as well here in the bottom of the 7th. For the Panthers, Galindo steps out. Now back in from the right side. Holly ready to go with the 2-2 count. From the windup, the 2-2 pitch. Breaking pitch, outside corner, called strike 3. What a beautiful pitch. Strikeout looking for out number 1 of Galindo. And that'll bring up the number 9 hitter, the shortstop, Aiden Bradley. Bradley in the ball game is 0 for 1. Walked and left stranded in the 3rd. And then grounded out in the 5th inning. Steps in here, 0 for 1 in the ball game with 1 out. Panthers down to the last 2 outs here to come back, down 9-2. Holly's first pitch to Bradley. Misses for ball 1. 1-0 the count. The 1-0 pitch in there for a called strike. 1-1 to count now to Aiden Bradley. A 1-1 pitch fouled off back behind home plate. 1-2 now is Holly ahead in the count. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Holly ready to go. Bradley ready to go. The 1-2 pitch. Breaking pitch, inside corner, called strike 3. 2 strikeouts looking in a row for Luke Holly. And the Panthers down to their final out. And that brings up Jose Correa, the number 1 hitter in the lineup. Correa steps in. He's 0 for 3 in the ball game. 2 line outs and a strikeout. The first pitch from Holly in there, called strike 1. 0-1 the count now. Looking for any updates on Twitter for the Lady Eagles Lady Patriots softball game. The 0-1 pitch misses for ball 1. 1-0, or 1-1 the count now. Holly from the windup. The 1-1 pitch to Correa. Breaking pitch misses inside for ball 2. 2-1 the count. In his inning of work, Ashby allowed 1 run on 1 hit, 2 strikeouts, a walk through 27 pitches. The 2-1 pitch misses for ball 3. 3-1 the count now. To the lead-up man, Jose Correa. Ethan Minjar is on deck. Should Correa be able to reach base and extend the inning? Holly gets a sign. The 3-1 pitch to Correa. Misses low, ball 4. The 2-out walk has a base runner aboard for the Panthers here in the bottom of the 7th. And that'll bring up Ethan Minjares. Minjares on the night, 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts. Steps in here with a runner at first and 2 outs. Holly now to the stretch. From the first base side of the rubber comes set. The first pitch to Minjares. Gets away from the catcher Herrera and allows Correa to move up to second base. So a wild pitch there for Luke. So runner in scoring position with 2 outs. 1-0 the count to Minjares. With Cole Taylor, the first baseman, on deck. Should Minjares extend the inning. 1-0 the count to Minjares. 2 outs here in the bottom of the 7th. The 9-2 score. Georgetown leads by 7. Holly comes set in the stretch. The 1-0 pitch to Minjares. In there for a called strike. 1-1 now the count to the left-handed hitting center fielder. Ethan back in for the left side. Holly looks in and gets the sign and comes set in the stretch. The 1-1 pitch. Ground ball hit up the middle. It's off the side of the mound, fielded by Kiki. The throw on the run. In time, what a play! It's Jack Kiki to David Fluid on the stretch. 6-3 on the putout, and the ball game is over. Georgetown wins it 9-2. 9 runs, 4 hits, 1 error for the Eagles. 2 runs, 2 hits, 7 errors for the Pflugerville Panthers. Georgetown improves to 4-0 in the district standings. The Panthers fall to 0-4 in district. And the Eagles go and stay atop the district standings undefeated, depending on what Hendrickson was able to do as well tonight, the only other undefeated team in the district currently. So Georgetown moves to 9-1 on the year, 4-0 in district, and their winning streak extends to 4 games. The next time you'll see the Eagles, that'll be on Tuesday night at home. The Elgin Wildcats will come in and take on your Eagles on Tuesday night. Wednesday night, we will be at Mesquite Creek Outfitters for the Coaches Show, and then Thursday night, we'll be on the road to take on the Elgin Wildcats for game number 2 of that series before the 4-day weekend for Easter weekend. We're going to sign out tonight. It's too cold. We're going to talk to Coach. We got enough out of him last night. We'll talk to him on Tuesday night. The Eagles victorious 9-2 over the Pflugerville Panthers to advance to 4-0 in district, staying undefeated and moving their total season record to 9-1. Thanks for joining us here tonight live from Pflugerville. We'll be back on the air Tuesday night at Georgetown at Eagle Field. Come join us in the stands and cheer on your Eagles. If you can't, we'll be live on the SHN Sports Network. First Responder Broadcasting brings you all things Georgetown Eagle baseball. We'll be live at 6:45 for the pregame, 7 o'clock first pitch. Thanks for joining us tonight. Remember, it doesn't cost you a dime to be kind. Have a good weekend, everybody.